Council meeting, 10 a.m., Thursday, January 22nd, 2026, City Hall Council Chambers. Call this meeting to order. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Councilwoman Melendez, would you do us the honor?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. Number 3, presentations, financial disclosure for local elected officials. City Attorney.
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Morning.
Is everybody ready for a 6-7 hour presentation on? All right, I'll keep it to 2 minutes. Basically, what the council has in front of it, a later agenda item is going to be a resolution to update the city's financial disclosure requirements. That's the resolution 2026-01-002. So Arizona law requires financial disclosures for public officials, and it's for purposes to ensure transparency and prevent conflicts of interest and build public trust. And those have been in place for decades. Financial disclosure statement's a form prescribed by the Secretary of State, and it outlines the financial data that has to be disclosed. That's by state law. These aren't specific Nogales requirements. These financial disclosure requirements are for all elected officials, all city elected officials throughout the state. So state law requires elected officials to disclose 11 categories of information, including personal financial data, such as information on members of the household, information on business holdings, property owned. So there's a number of categories of items that you as elected officials have to disclose, including for certain household members. The city of Nogales adopted the financial disclosure standards in 1984 by way of resolution B-0108. So long ago, we don't even number our resolutions that way anymore. However, there have been substantial number of state statute amendments between 1984 and today. And the city's financial disclosure standards haven't been updated to align with those state standards. Specifically, the Arizona legislature amended ARS 38-541 and 542 and adopted certain changes. Those changes include the listing of addresses, spouse and minor disclosures, travel expenses, electronic submission of financial, and providing for the electronic submission of financial disclosure statements. So just really briefly, what those changes do is the addresses, officials have the option of listing their home or work address on the financial disclosure. If you want to try to keep your personal residency from being disclosed on a public document. Spouse and minor disclosures. Prior to 2016, state law required disclosure of financial interests by the public officer and each member of the household. The legislature has narrowed that provision down to only require disclosure of the official's spouse and minors information if they reside in the same household as the official. So if you've got a minor child that doesn't reside with you, that's not a requirement. The law does not require the disclosure of the identity of the spouse or the minor on the form. It just allows them to list them as spouse or minor child, so you can keep that information redacted. It's not redacted. You don't have to disclose those names. The second category was the travel expenses. The other significant change was requiring officials to disclose meetings, conferences, or other events tied to their official duties if the travel expenses are $1,000 or more and are not paid by the public official. So if you travel somewhere, those expenses are paid by the city, they're not paid by you, or they're paid by some other entity or individual, then those travel expenses have to be disclosed. And that means costs of transportation, food, lodging, registration fees, et cetera. So, just kind of jumping ahead, if you reviewed the resolution, it should have highlighted those areas that are being amended or requested to be amended by the council to bring the city's financial disclosure requirements in line with current state statute. And that means that there's a new section 8 provided for travel-related expenses, which defines what travel-related expenses are. It updates the name or home or work address for the disclosure. It also removes certain things with regard to, for example, there was a provision that talked about political campaign contributions to not be considered as gifts if otherwise publicly reported. That's been stricken because that was removed from state statute. So those are the basic updates that are being made by way of this resolution. These are statutorily required updates. The city just has not updated these in a long time. So, are there any questions or concerns with regard to the disclosures?
Yes, you're saying updates, but we've been filing, those rules have been in place for years. The last, they were all there last time, but 4 years ago. So, and even before that. So why are the updates if they're the same rules? I don't see any updates here.
There are updates. I just went through what was updated because the city hasn't formally adopted those as part of this, the city's financial disclosure requirements. So
but
the
we've
state
been
law
filing,
provides
but
for it.
Nogales has been filing them.
If you have been providing them personally, then
No, the forms that you got, that we fill,
Yes.
those updates are already are there.
They're on the form, but they're not in the, they haven't been adopted by way of the resolution to update the city's policy. So we have a policy, and then the financial form is the disclosure form that form is prescribed and given to us by the Secretary of State. That form is updated, yes. So the information you're providing is updated. What this resolution is doing is updating our policy to conform with the current requirements. That policy hasn't been updated since 1984. There have been changes to state law since 1984. So all this is doing is updating the policy. The forms stay the same. The information you're providing is going to be the same that's been on the form until the legislature changes the requirements again and the forms get updated.
Okay, thank you. But the city has been tuned in it's not like we've been outdated. We've kept up with it.
So no, this is a cleanup.
I can bring you one of the old files. You can pull it out. All that same information is the same that you mentioned.
You good, Mr. Doyle?
I'm done. Thank you.
Mine's a quick question.
Go ahead.
When are these requirements going to take effect?
They're already
in
they're
effect?
already in effect. So again, we found, as we've talked about in other circumstances and things, we have certain policies or written procedures that haven't been consistently updated over the
Internally.
years. And so this is a cleanup. We're just trying to align our written policy with the state law.
Yeah,
That's it.
the state has done theirs, and we just haven't changed our internal policy. Go ahead,
I have a quick question. And thank you. I'm glad you're updating all the provisions that the city hasn't kept up with since 1984. So thank you, Mr. Estes. But I have a question, a quick question. I was looking at these changes, these provisions, specifically the travel. Two questions. On the travel, is it up to 1,000 per trip?
Yes.
Okay. So if it's
not cumulative.
Yeah, okay, good. I wasn't clear about that. Okay, that's number one. Number two is personal phones. So is a personal phone, it's a legal question, you know where I'm going, right? Does that have to be disclosed if it's a personal phone on expenses?
I don't have a copy of the actual.
I read it and
form?
it's not very clear. That's why I was asking, but you can get back
I
with
can
me.
take a look at that.
Yeah.
But
I understand the city paid, taxpayers paid phone, but personal, if you could just get back with me with that.
yeah. 'cause
Otherwise,
we
thank
can
you.
talk about that because that also gets into public record issues and stuff, and making sure that if you have a city phone, use your city phone for city business. Don't use your personal phone for city business, because once you start using your personal stuff, your personal phone, personal emails, things like that, then that opens up the door for you're
subpoenas.
using it as a for a public purpose, and public records requirements attached and stuff like that.
Vice Mayor.
Mr. Estes, you said that once the state changes the standards, like let's say if they up the expenditures to 1,500, then the city should update the resolution again anytime that the state makes any changes?
Yes, every time the state makes changes, we should be updating our written policies and procedures. That doesn't mean you don't have to comply with the state requirements, which you guys have been doing, because the forms are updated by the state and provided to us. This is just our, like our personnel manual will say this, we got to make sure that what's in our policy is consistent with what we're doing. You guys are already doing what is required by state law because you're using the prescribed forms from the Secretary of State's office. This is just clarifying and updating our written internal policies to bring those up to the current requirements. And so, yes, if the legislature were to make a change this year by way of legislation, and like you said, change it for travel expenses from 1,000 to 1,500 or 2,000, then we would come back and update it by way of an additional resolution.
Are resolutions looked at by the auditors?
That I'm not sure, only if it has to do with their financial audit, but so the way council acts is by way of motion, order, resolution, or ordinance. And a resolution it's trackable. We'd like to do things by resolutions because those are numbered, they're kept on record. And it has a higher importance than an order or a motion, but not as significant as an ordinance. You pass and adopt code changes by way of ordinances, your certain laws and things. So that's why this is being done by resolution.
Yeah. Well, since it was named a financial disclosure, I thought maybe.
Yeah, but those are your elected official obligations. That's not a part of the city's financial audits and disclosure requirements.
Any other questions? Thank you. That's all we have, Mr. Estes?
That's it for that presentation.
Okay, thank you, sir. We go to item number 2, workday presentation. Mr. Kramer?
Thank you, Mayor Maldonado. While Laura and Brian will come up to the podium from Workday Group, this is our new platform we hope that we move into, of course, council with approval. We spent many, many hours in this, discussions with them, certainly via groups and teams, certainly the finance department. IT, HR, we're all involved in these discussions. Again, I'm going to say at least 12 hours to 15 hours of having meetings. It's important that you guys hear what is going on, certainly not only from Workday, but our teams will present some information of why we want to do this in the direction. Certainly, it's not a Joel Kramer decision, but it was a team decision because I definitely leaned on the team to make these decisions. So with that said, Laura, I will turn this over to you and Brian.
Okay, thank you so much. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, my name's Laura Morey. I'm an account executive at Workday. This is Brian Howell, who I report to, who's been such a critical part of this process of getting to know your team here, working to understand where you guys are today, what pain you have, and how we can make sure that you don't just step into the future, but do it with confidence to best serve your community and your constituents here. So we're going to go ahead and get started.
Excuse me,
So
Laura.
this is a modernization.
Laura, can you get a little bit
effort
closer
for
to
you
the,
guys.
excuse me? Can you get
Oh,
it closer
can
to
you hear?
the mic?
Sorry.
please?
Can you hear me? Is that better?
You can even hold it if you want.
Thank you.
Short girl problems. Sorry, guys. Okay, we're good now. So this is a modernization effort for your staff and for your community. We want you to have a modern cloud native ERP solution that makes sure that you have the financial and operational agility that you need, that any silos and pain points that you have today, those go away. Eric and I were here for some procurement training with you guys, and we understand that there's been some issues that you guys have had. We want to make sure that you have everything you need in a technology solution so that the compliance, the efficiency, those workflows are in there so that your team isn't getting dinged on audits and that you have the transparency and everything that you need to best serve your community. Okay. And now this is much more than the Workday piece, which is going to be the human capital management, the payroll, and the financials. We're also bringing in utility billing, which has been a main pain point for you guys. They've been kind of sitting from a reactive perspective where you might have higher bills, some customer concerns, right? We don't want you to be reactive. We want you to be proactive, and we want a seamless integration back to Workday so that you can proactively serve your community and your constituents and have line of sight. And that data is going to help you today, tomorrow, and 20 years from now, right? Because you have to have line of sight to data to make the decisions that lead to the best possible tomorrow. Right? That's what we want to unlock for you guys. And then we're also going to introduce Cloud Permit, which will replace Acela, which you guys are using today for license and permitting. This is going to be a bit of a cost decrease while making sure that your team has all the functionality. Everybody who needs to access that system can serve your community. And together, we just want to say thank you for the opportunity to work with your team and to help you guys serve your community. Any questions so far?
Go ahead, Councilman Doe.
Are we replacing a system that we already have integrated in the city, or?
Yes. So this is going to be, right now you guys are using Tyler Encode, right, for your utility billing, your financials, and then you're also using Acela for the permitting. All of these kind of work together so that you can serve your constituents, right? But today that process is very clunky, it's inefficient, and I would say from maybe sending out higher utility bills and something, there's a way that we can replace that to help you modernize, to alleviate a lot of these pain points for you guys, right? And to give you some efficiencies that your team doesn't have today, so that because you're a smaller team, every minute counts of what their bandwidth can do for your community. So we want to streamline that operationally as efficient as possible so that your team isn't getting buried in administrative efforts and all of that. They can work on that more deep, meaningful kind of stuff that you might not be able to get to because you have to make sure there aren't data errors and you didn't misplace a decimal point, and that you have one system that's a single source of truth for all of this that you can trust. So you're not looking at 3 different sets of numbers for 6 hours. That's time you don't get back, right? We want to eliminate a lot of those problems for you.
My next question.
I was just going to add on real quick. So just to be clear, so Workday would be replacing the Tyler N code, right? Which is your financials, your utility billing. And then Cloud Permit is going to be replacing Acela, which is your licensing and permitting. And then Current Software is going to be replacing your utility billing system.
And we can get into that functionality really quick. Sorry, go ahead.
So is there a guarantee that we're not going to lose the old files while you do the replacing?
Yes, sir.
I mean, they're not going to
Yes,
drop,
sir.
Because I know that some of these systems like Sala have been
Yes.
very effective.
Yes.
And so what's going to be the cost? I mean, I'd like to see what the comparison is on what we have in system. Now, I don't know why this older system is not working. Are they using it properly, or why are we?
Yes.
Why can't the water department bill correctly when they used to bill correctly, and all of a sudden we haven't gained that many residents?
Yeah, it's a
matter of fact, we've
question.
shrunk. The city has shrunk. We have less workload, less, and now you're telling us they can't handle it because of a system that has been very effective in the past, and we need to spend more money to improve it? Is that what you're saying?
So the current system that you're using today, and it's not just one system, right? There's multiple systems there. 20 years ago, they would have been a great solution because the world wasn't as complex. You may be a smaller community today, but the demands that your team faces from reporting, from compliance, from audits, and all of that, it's becoming more complex, right? And so when you have technology that's 20, 30 years old, there's limitations. It's not going to be as quick and efficient. So while it works in theory, it's going to be a painful experience for this team, and it's going to probably take them 3 to 5 times as long to complete basic tasks versus what we have today. And when you get all of that time back, all of that bandwidth back, and you have a single source of truth for all of that data, it's unbelievable the efficiencies that you're going to get. And I want to show this right here. So what does this look like? And this is based off of a lot of data. We have over 11,000 customers today. Okay. So these numbers are trusted. What do you do when you can get an 85% reduction in payroll overpayments? Think about the money, how that can be reallocated. Think about the nearly 80% reduction in payroll processing time, right? You're going to have tremendous efficiency here that your current solution cannot afford to give you. And what's also happening is that this team is spending a lot of time with support because the system doesn't work properly. And eventually they're going to stop supporting the system that you have today, which means no new security updates. And that in of itself, if you were to get hacked, would be a nightmare for the city. Right? We want to keep you safe. We want to keep you efficient. And because this is a small team, we want you to be as efficient as possible. Right now, you have 3 or 4 vacant positions, right? So small team, they're hurting from that. That's additional drain on their bandwidth. With this software, you're not going to need to replace them right away. You might not even need to hire for those positions.
You're guaranteeing that these problems are going to disappear. We won't have any more difficulties with finance. We won't have any more difficulties with billing from the city.
This is what I can promise you. It's software, right? You're always going to have something that comes up. Any company that tells you otherwise, do not trust them. We have an SLA you tell us if something goes wrong, how important it is. And then that determines when we get back to you, when it gets fixed. Nobody else is going to be held to that standard. So that means you can't have a problem for a year outstanding that doesn't get fixed like you do today. And there's multiple of those, right, Joel? That will go away. So I can promise you and commit to you that when you put Workday and this solution in there, the value that this community will benefit from will completely future-proof you for the future, not just today, but 20 years from now. Because twice a year, you're going to get updates on this software to make sure you're not just good today, but as compliance changes, as the world evolves, you're not ever going to have to buy Workday 2.0 because the software is going to make sure you guys are good, period.
And we got to wait and see, but it's going to cost us in the process. If it
I'll meet
doesn't
you
work,
back for lunch in 20 years.
there's the people, or the main man that's going to catch
Yeah.
the heat. Because apparently, I guess, Mr. Kramer, you're the one that's bringing this up?
Well, as I said in the beginning, Mr. Doyle, it's not a one-man show here. I do involve decision-making to the team. We did discuss this for 15 hours, at least, meeting with them. So I just didn't arbitrarily come up with this and just say, oh yeah, let's do this. I did screen Workday. I did talk to other communities. The previous government agency that I worked for has now streamlined into their risk management and their loss control officers as well. They're using Workday for that programming as well. I was going to I didn't want to steal the thunder because I don't want to take it away from Jose, because Jose will give you updates on the way he looks at it from perspective from IT. You've got HR that will give you perspectives of what HR doesn't have, because we don't have anything with HR right now. It's just a basic apply and go through the system of manual downloading, everything to that effect. We're creating a warehouse, correct, Chief? And we're going to have a good warehouse and a good 911 center working simultaneously together. We have Parks and Recs taking over that vacant building to do asset control. Speaking of asset control, we have no asset control program. Nothing in place other than emails and writing down paper, things to that effect. IT does some tagging of things, but we don't have any of that. We don't have, what was I going to say, as far as I already said with HR, but the hiring process with HR also will be included in this programming. Those two programs alone with HR, Jose, correct me because you just told me this, HR and asset control would be an additional $40,000 a year to add? Each, so 40,000. So adding those two programs that we want to add, let's just say we stay what we have and adding those two programs, we would be paying roughly maybe $5,000 to $7,000 more a year on annual expenses for our software and hardware that we're currently using. Well, we're currently using the program. By the way, when I first got hired, remember that we were having billing problems even then. And I don't know how far back it stemmed from, and Sadio probably can say it probably was even before I started, but I started. That was my first project in November not knowing anybody, saying, oh, good, what do I do? Do you know that Mr. Doyle, as a city manager, I was on hold for 5 hours with the company to find out what the problem was? And we still didn't get a problem from the answer from them. Study, it took us, 4 days to get the answer from that company in Texas regarding a building problem. And since then, I've looked at it and said, this is not correct. This isn't the way to go. This program we were using is going to be outdated, and I don't want to steal away from Jose because he was going to give you the IT perspective of this. But I know there's more to the presentation. Certainly you see on the map of everyone across the state who's using this. You certainly can't go wrong if ASU is using it. That should be a seller right there. But nevertheless, Pima County, Maricopa County, our two biggest counties. You know, you guys get to vote on this. You get to approve it. I'm not, this is just not Joel Kramer perspective. You guys decide at the end, what do you want to do on this? But you're looking at the team that will tell you this is only going to make their jobs that much more efficient. And that's what I'm about, is efficiency. And again, you hired me, Mr. Doyle, particularly you told me, Joel, get that asset control. We don't know what's missing. There's things, and you've told me that. You've said it in public. Well, we don't have that program right now. So if you want to buy that program separately, so be it. The hiring, so be it. We can go that route. And I don't have any problem with whatever direction you guys decide this morning. I'm just bringing something that I see the future of what the city of Nogales needs. The billing aspects, everything to that effect. So to answer your question, that's what I'm looking at. Again, they've got 15 more slides. You want to hear maybe from the finance department. You want to hear from Jose regarding the IT perspective. He just gave you what it's going to cost to bring those programs in. Certainly HR, with Daniel coming in, he wanted to upgrade the system because he came from a system that was the most efficient system in the world. It's called the U.S. military. You know that.
What I was getting to, Mr. Kramer, is that I know that you've had difficulty in the past detecting or finding the root of financial leaks or problems that we've had. Will this system help expose them? Will they help them correct them? Will it detect them? In other words, down to the department and maybe even to the person that's been abusing the old system or past whatever.
You'll be able to know who logged in onto Mr. John Doyle's water account and know exactly the time, date, and timestamp of if it's been changed or tweaked or changed as far as usage. To answer your question, sir.
Well, and then which department, or is it a mix of all the departments that are going to be over this system, or?
Well, right now it'd be with HR and our finance department and IT.
Okay.
But also, this also includes, it brings in the grants program that we have. We'll tie into this as well. Granted, we're looking for a grants coordinator, and that's a big wish list on that, but this will tie into that. It will tie into, I believe, Parks and Recs in some fashion. Certainly the fire department, the police department, the billing, how they're doing. Police chief is here. He will say how people, when they want to get officers, we can tie that program working through Workday. So we're going to have encompassing everything that we're using into one platform.
But, you know, my main concern, again, is I can see that it'll work for the future, but how about the information we have from the past? We're not going. I just want to make sure that
we're not going to lose
that it doesn't get lost in the clouds, right?
Jose,
No.
Jose will come up. Hold on.
Happy to hear somebody else's voice.
Here's the IT perspective.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. My name's Jose, MIS manager. What's going to end up happening is, correct me if I'm wrong, they're going to grab the data from our current servers and they're just going to be migrated over into Workday, right? Those servers are still going to exist, and we will just archive those, and we'll have that data will be available to us.
Mr. Contreras, though, but it is a possibility that not everything transfers over. Sometimes files are lost.
In fact, we don't probably want to transfer everything over. I think I was talking to Sergio here. Yeah. You were having issues with some accounts that were transferred over, right? That we wanted. So there's going to be some cleanup that we'll have to do, but the data will still be in the old servers. So we don't want to move everything over. That's just part of figuring out, what's best to move over.
So I guess my question then, like say Sella, there's a lot of information there, and will that be retained? Are we paying right now for that program?
And the thing with Acela is that currently we only have 8 users, and to add more users is $3,500 each user. The new software that we're getting is unlimited users, and it gives us a lot more capability, and it's going to also take care of the online payment and everything. So
No, I understand that it's going to be a more effective program, but I'm concerned with the old programs that we have. That like right now we could go to Sala and everything. If something gets lost out here, it's still in the hard drive, and we can still retrieve it.
So that one's a cloud-based, just like what we're.
But it can still be retrieved.
So yes, we will get all that data.
So my question is, are we going to cut them off, and will they still have a certain responsibility with that data?
We'll get that data. When we cancel the thing, they provide a big dump of all the data that we have, so we will get it. Yes.
So that'll be secured.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
I'll just add, that's a good question, and I know Mr. Doe is asking these questions. Certainly with Acela, and those of you that are not familiar with Acela is our platform that for new businesses that come to the community, and what I was explaining about that, how I want to tie in the Chamber of Commerce and the Santa Cruz County. Right now, Jose just said it's $3,000 every time we want to add somebody. Well, with this program that we have, we don't have to worry about that. So we'll be able to add a lot more community partners per se. So the process of our attraction for the businesses will be that much more smoother. Acela is a good program, but the program where it's going to be better that we're going to use, it's a much smoother, more efficient process. And it will not only give, for instance, Jose, I'm using him, and Jose already said I could do this. Jose with the county is health department, correct? Well, he's got to go in there and do inspections. He's only going to be able to see his component with this program. Fire chief, you're involved in this too, correct? Yes, they are. They'll be able to see when there is their program. We're not going to see everything that entails. That will be strictly just for the business or for community development when they move over here. They'll see everything. But the checklist will be right there. Again, those that are at the county, if we set up there, the new businesses, hey, yeah, you know what, you can do it right here. They pop into the chamber, hey, you can do it right here. They'll be able to get started right there without even worrying about the process of we're having to spend more money. So again, it's a more efficient and a more cost saving to us as a city in that respect. And I know you guys are coming and they haven't talked about it, and you saw the figures. I know the initial figure is going to be, that's just the way it is. Jose is going to talk about that certainly, but the Acela program is not as good as what we're going to be getting. And we're adding that component to as well. And that will work, that will transfer over. In fact, by the way, they're starting already working in the administration building this last week. When we bring community development over here, they'll be right out here, right at this front desk. So we will have a receptionist. And yes, Mayor, I'm still working on your phone calls.
Thank you.
We are going to get that straightened out. That was just sidebar, but I wanted to bring that up. Nevertheless, they'll be in that Acela program will be that much more fine-tuned.
Can I ask you a question, City Manager, Mr. Kramer? Is that program going to help improve the answering system that the city has right now?
Well, that's something that Jose and I were working on, so we're just probably going to have to bring back a live person.
We need more of the personal touch.
Yeah, I know that.
Not robots.
But we're trying to, but it doesn't guarantee somebody answering their phone. I can't guarantee that. I'll get the person going to the phones, but doesn't mean that, but that's something that's a sidebar and we shouldn't be talking about that. But I will certainly bring that up again. Yes, I'm working on it.
Mr. Kramer, I think the main question that Mr. Doe's trying to get in, when you compare apples to apples, the apple that we're using right now and the cost that we have right now, making the switch, I see you're like, making the switch, what is it going to compare to?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for.
Go ahead, Laura.
Thank you. That's a good question because that's something that they're going to be discussing.
Go ahead.
Yes. So today you're spending just over $150,000 annually for what you have today that's not working particularly efficiently. And this is what Workday is going to be. Hold on one sec. I'm going to go down. Actually. To that.
You're trying to look at.
Okay. So for the Workday component, we're actually going to be starting you off at less than $100,000 a year. Okay. I'm going to skip around a little bit just because I want to go through the pricing. That's the implementation. And then for the utility billing, that's going to start at just around $44,000. And then for cloud permit, you're at $26,500.
Can you simplify this? We're going to hear till 3 o'clock.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us what we are paying now as opposed to if we were to approve this program. Let's make it simple.
Yes. So right now you're paying just over $150,000 for the annual subscription. You're going to be about just under 170 annually to have a much better solution. Now with
70 annually times what?
so we're doing
An increase of 16,000.
yes, 10 years. So this slide it will, and that's what this slide is, right? So twice a year from Workday, you're going to be getting new product releases, right? Because if we didn't do that, the technology would become outdated. Right, that would not serve you. So that cost increase, and we actually put more of that towards research and development than anybody else in the industry, right? Because we want to keep you at the tip of the spear so that you can serve your community. So those cost increases make sure that us and our partners can continue to invest in that technology so that you guys have what you need to be successful. Not just today, not tomorrow, but 20 years into the future. So all of this together, you're over a 10-year deal. You're looking at about $1.2 million for the Workday subscription, and then about $680,000 for the utility billing, and cloud permit's going to be just under $320,000. Okay. And then you have the implementation. Now, we are working to make sure that you guys can afford that in a bite size because it is expensive, right? So we're partnering with First American to make this bite size for you guys over 7 years with an annual payment of $147,143. Okay. And then from there, you're also going to have implementation costs for the utility billing, which is going to be $23,000. And then you're going to have just under $20,000 for cloud permit as well. And I know this is a lot of money, right? This is an investment in your community, in the success of your community into the future, right? Part of the system, which you have problems with today, is because that initial implementation, they kind of cut corners to save cost, right? We want to make sure that you guys are set up for success for years to come, right? You will not be spending 5 hours waiting for a reply with us, Joel. Our average response time is less than 20 minutes. Okay, it's completely different. But you're also going to have an implementation experience where you're in there with the system. Yes, the data, we're going to get that over. You're not going to lose it, right? You're going to get in there. You're going to be able to play with it. You're going to get familiar with it. We're going to test it. We're going to make sure that you're good to go so that when you do take this system live, you guys are running on all cylinders, right? And
Council member, just to answer your question, right? So you're currently spending $154,000 with those three softwares, with Workday and the two other softwares, Current and Cloud Permit. It's going to be $170,000. The nice thing about all three of these softwares is it's going to give you a predictable cost model for the next 10 years, right? You know what your cost is going to be for the next 10 years. And then, after the 10 years, there's renewals and those types of things. But there's a big advantage to being locked in at that predictable cost model for the next 10 years.
I'll add this, that the question, I understand why they want to keep it simple because yes, certainly. Thank you, Councilwoman Montiel, to streamline this. Right now, we're paying $150, but we do not have HR under the wraps of this, correct? We do not have asset control under this. What other one am I missing? Just those two? Those two would be $40,000. So if we added those two in, it's going to be $190,000 as opposed to a newer software at $170,000. So what we're going to be paying for is the implementation of new software. The software that we currently have is going to be outdated. You're going to, if not this year, it's just like everything else. If you want to kick the can down the road and wait, that's fine. You can do that. We can do that. 2 years from now, the cost of getting the new software is probably going to be more, but it's going to be needed because what we have currently right now, Jose, is going to be outdated. And we're going to have to get something in like this implemented. So you don't have to do it now. You can do it 2 years from now. The cost will probably be more, but that's fine. Nevertheless, I'm just saying this is what we're bringing to you right now. If we bring in those two softwares, we're going to be spending $40,000 more for the software and continue using the old software and everything else. I made it as simple as possible. Am I correct on that? Yes. Thank you.
Councilman Bonillas?
Mr. Kramer and I'm sorry, what is your
Laura?
Laura and Brian.
Right.
So what I'm seeing here is that we're consolidating pretty much everything into one program or one platform, for to say, because what the city of Nogales has been going through, especially in financing, is they're spending way too much. Employees our employees are not that efficient because their task is tied down to doing something, inputting either something manually or transferring, and that's taking way too much time. I had discussions with Mr. Kramer as far as discussing how we're going to fix some issues with financing, and it's kind of crazy how employees there have to really spend 3, 4, 5 hours, even 6 hours a day trying to play catch up, and it's not very efficient as far as a city goes, how it's run. So what I'm seeing here is that we're just going to consolidate everything. I think I'm not really worried about the data transfer. We're in good hands with our IT people. So regardless, the information is still in our servers regardless. So, I'm not really concerned with that. But what I am seeing here that the cost analysis or cost effectiveness of this is that our employees are going to be more efficient actually than anything else. They're not going to be stuck on one task for many hours a day. It's just pretty much one and done, and let's move on to the next issue or the next task that our employees may have. That's what I'm liking about this workday. Thank you.
I'll say this, just to interject, that whatever employees we have openings for, if we do implement this and we still have those openings, we may be able to just shut down those two positions, which would be we average about 50,000 with benefits, 60,000. That'd be another $120,000 that we would not have to be paying as well. So, the financial, I understand. It's an investment. That's what we're asking you to invest in the future for this expenditure. The cost of what the programming is actually going to be cheaper if we go with them because they're going to add more in. So the current programming is going to be cheaper. It's the implementation that's the cost. That's that extra cost. And that's expected on anything new of when you bring in software like this capacity to the city. So that's the whole, and the benefits of using Workday again, they've come highly regarded. Granted, they're not used by everybody because everybody's probably going to be going down this road eventually. Not going to with you, maybe other companies like you, but nevertheless, it is what it is. I just know that this company that we're using right now, that was purchased 2006.
20 years ago.
You know, but if we want to keep doing, if we want to follow our motto of why fix because it's not broken, this is the way we always do it, then let's stick to that.
Well,
Vice Mayor?
yes.
Hold on, Mr. Doe.
Okay.
Vice
Go
Mayor,
ahead.
please.
Yes, Mr. Kramer kind of answered part of my question. I know that this software uses a lot of artificial intelligence, right? Does that mean that there's going to be a cut in the workforce? You know, they're going to need less employees?
The only reason I brought that up is I wasn't trying to cut employees. I was just saying if we have employees that we cannot fill, that the programming that we're going to be utilizing will certainly help offset that we may not have to, which would save us money. But by no means am I looking to rift employees because we're bringing this program in.
Okay.
Everybody's job is secure with this. And certainly the question is, and it wasn't brought up, is where's AI going to be in this? I guarantee Workday's already been talking about that, and it's probably 2 steps ahead of what we're going to talk about right now, because every Fortune 500, I don't know if you guys are Fortune 500, but every Fortune 500 company is going in that direction, whereas 90% of Fortune 500 companies are implementing AI and are going to be implementing AI to make it even more efficient.
Yes. Do you want to?
Yeah, I would just say our goal is not to eliminate employees. Our goal is to make those mundane tasks that they're doing over and over again that are repetitive, to be able to automate some of those, allowing your employees to be able to work on more strategic things other than doing those manual updates with paper. I think what you said was spot on, right? There's a lot of inefficiencies out there that you guys may or may not see, right? When they're doing paperwork, having to rekey things into multiple different systems or mistakes that can be made with Workday, with it allows you to be able to automate those tasks, so you don't have to worry about the potential mistakes or those types of things, and allows your employees to be able to work on more strategic things here at the city.
Yes, and I have another question. As far as the human resources, does this software back up evaluations for all the employees? Because, you know, we've been having problems with evaluations for the longest time.
Yeah, they will. And the thing is with employees, and that's a good question, Vice Mayor, it certainly will obviously be the HR department that Daniel Trevino has and is cleaning up and moving in that direction of efficiency will certainly be part of that. And the good thing about Workday is, as a former employee where stress was very little working in my position, Workday program was it was a very good program as an employee. I could go in there and look at all my benefits. I could look at my pays. I could look at everything as an employee that I could possibly want. When it came time to changing whatever I wanted to change during the month with insurances or benefits or anything I needed to change, I could get in there and do it. Very user-friendly for employees as well. I mean, it's a great program. And I believe there's an app for it as well. There's always an app for everything. So you can, as an employee's perspective, this is a much better, cleaner program for them.
Yeah. As you said, everything that can be done on desktop can also be done on our mobile app. So what we've heard from all of our customers is the employee self-service, allowing them to be able to do things on their own instead of coming and having to ask, for help from other people.
So that's a statement that we haven't said. It's very user-friendly for our employees. Yeah. Our employees will benefit from this. And again, you remember my big push about getting the employees signed up, and we kind of missed the boat, but we got to bring that back, is our annuities program that our employees are not taking advantage of. Well, this will give them now, this next time around of signing up, if we get this program going, they're going to be able to do that. We're going to get not 14 people, but maybe 100 people signed up for the annuity program that is there, that they're not signed up for because the availability the process was much more doing this and giving it in and then implementing it, and there you go. Again, the task, the mundane task of paperwork and doing it this way. With this program, it cuts out that. It makes it more efficient. And again, it's user-friendly for our employees. I'm just saying that as a perspective. Jackie worked in Pima County. She would say the same thing. And again, I'm not trying to give Pima County accolades because it's not about that.
Mr. Doyle?
Well, talking a bit about efficiency, what makes us more efficient to make the right decisions is what are we comparing? Now we're talking, like you said, there's other companies out there. How many companies did you take in consideration to check what they have to offer for the costs they have to offer? I mean, how do we make a comparison except just saying, oh, this is the future and this is good? But there's a lot of other companies, and it's like the same thing. Like whenever they put a bid out, we take at least 2 to 3 bids to find out if something to compare with, and get more information. Like right now, we're barely getting information on this move, and apparently it's a big move. So in order for us to feel comfortable with the decision we make, we need to have something to compare it with, not just the past, but the future, the other companies that are also in place. I mean, are they just as good? Are they cheaper? Is it less cost? We need to know and find out what's out there, and you're not bringing this to the table. So that's what I'm asking. Thank you.
Mr. Bonilla?
I'm seeing here on your presentation here. One of the common things I think from all these from because it ranges from the hospitality to hospitals to tire shops and supermarkets. I imagine that the system is implemented starting from their POS and going on for payroll and stuff like that. Is that how this is implemented with all these different customers that you have?
So what's really interesting about Workday is we have over 11,000 customers, everybody from Walmart to hopefully you guys will trust us, right? Everybody is on the same code, same version of software. Well, what value does that have? So in public sector, it's more than just the software and the user experience. We have the best community, would you say, Brian? Yeah. So anybody who's using this, whether it's local to Arizona, like Maricopa County, or throughout the U.S., you're going to be tapped in to that community. So maybe you guys have been doing something a certain way for 20 years. Maybe there's a more efficient way. Maybe there's a couple different ways. The collaboration and learning from one another that you're going to access from this is tremendous, because it's not just the software, it's how effective you can be with the software. And when you can compound on all those lessons learned from people who have been in your shoes, right? That's how you get to best possible outcomes, right? It's not just good tech. It's the community. It's learning from one another. It's helping to collaborate, right? And that's one of the biggest differentiators. We're not the cheapest, right? We're the best value out there. That's the difference. And this is going to make sure that you're able to serve your community more effective than, the next round of Tyler, which I guarantee you they're going to charge you more than we're charging you. So it's going to be that same clunky kind of experience at a higher dollar amount, right? And Joel, I know you guys did your due diligence and kind of check this out. Is there something you want to say?
And just to directly answer your question, so I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Gartner Magic Quadrant, the Gartner company. So we don't have their slide, but Workday is ranked in the upper right-hand Magic Quadrant. So we are the leader when it comes to ERP and HR. That's a third-party advisory. They're well-known, for ranking all the different vendors out there. And then I think the other piece that I would say is, so the offer that we've provided is off a contract. So it has been competitively bid, so you can be rest assured that the pricing that you're getting is very competitively bid.
Go ahead, Mr. Doe.
Right. What I'd like to see is somebody here from the city contact some of these companies out there that are using Workday and get some input from them, how pleased they are with the program, how effective it's been for them. We need, in other words, we need more information. I mean, I can go to the Ford or Chevrolet or any car deal, and they're going to tell me their product is the best. I mean, that's you know, apparently you're the sales people for your company, and you have to speak highly of it. But we need to know from people that are using the product.
And we always encourage that, right? And I think you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys have done your due diligence and you guys have talked to other cities, counties here in Arizona and throughout the West who are using Workday.
I spoke with a couple people out of ASU. Again, you send me to conferences. I don't go there to eat. I go there to talk to people and hang out with people that were going there from ASU. Certainly, I can give you the Pima perspective. Maricopa County, I spoke with one person regarding this when we started chatting in July, but at the League of Cities. Mr. Doyle, I didn't bring all my homework pages to you. I didn't bring that back. I just did my research on that myself. Again, the time and effort that we spent, be it Jackie, be it Jose, they did their research. Jose's done his research. We didn't bring our notes to you guys. You hired me to do the administration, to do the background, to present to you, hopefully, that I was doing my job as your lead administrator, along with the administration team. We tried to do that. If you think that, again, it wasn't a good call, again, that's why you guys vote. We just try to bring the presentation. We try to streamline it. I tried to, again, do my research without bringing all the notes in, because I was hoping that we wouldn't spend that much time on it. But, I mean, like 3 hours time. I want to spend an hour and be due diligence. But we did that. I did that. So, you know, again, it's up to you guys to decide on everything on decisions like this, is whether or not you think it's, you're the voters. You guys vote for this. I'm only doing, I did my research. I did my homework. I'm telling you what Jose did. You correct. You did your research. Jackie and Sergio certainly did their research. You had a person before who was interim HR director, Lori. Lori gave thumbs up right when I told her what I was doing. She was initially in these conversations. She came from Maricopa County, working throughout all municipalities in those areas. She said, you can't go wrong with Workday. It's not the greatest. It's not 100%. It's not like the kingdom. It's like, yay. Sure, they got their flaws. Everyone's got their flaws. But it is what I think for the city of Nogales. And I guess you'll know the outcome of whether or not this was a good deal 2 years from now with your new city manager. And 2 years from now, you'll be able to determine if that was good or not. But right now, I think we spent a lot of time and effort on it. And I'm only bringing what we did, our efforts on this.
Here. I would like to have the opportunity to contact personally some of those companies, because I just want to hear it from the horse's mouth to see how they feel about it. Mr. Kramer, the last meeting, you made us led us to believe that the street project here on Colonia Street was pretty much on its way to be completed. And I drove by there a couple of days ago, and it seems like the streets in the Gaza, except with the fallout. But no, what I'm saying is I'd like to check and find out. You say you put a lot of time into it. You get paid close to $250,000 with everything a year. We don't get paid that much. I don't mind putting in time to make sure that we are saving money for the people in this community, because apparently there's a lot of projects and things that we need to get done, and we got to take care. It's our job to make sure that money stretches out. So all I'm asking is a comparison that we can see what other companies are out there, and also the ones that are that it's been used by these other companies. See what they have to say about it. Is that asking a lot? Why are we always in a big rush? It's not like your prices are going to go up from this month to next. And if they are, well, then maybe we ought to consider that too. So what I'm saying is I'm tired of coming here and trying to be rushed and making important decisions. Thank you.
I can just
Mr. Kramer, I'd just like to say something. Go ahead.
No, you go.
I've just mayor and council. For the record, I've worked for huge corporately owned companies that spend millions of dollars in their infrastructure as far as software and goes. And I'm talking 15, 20 million in developing their software. However, at the end of the day, when we would close the restaurant, it was crazy because we would have to not only cash out, input the numbers, and then wait, send, then go to another computer and pull the at the end of the day labor, and then send that report in to another place, and then turn to the third computer. And this platform is pretty much just one shot. So. And just how we do things here at the city, just what it costs should save. It doesn't matter. It will offset what we're going to save money on labor. It will be offsetting everything else. So if they have P.F. Chang's, if they have Sprouts, and they have ASU, U of A, and all these other huge companies, I am good to go with this company because I know they can handle lots of information and a lot of tasks that need to be done at the same time. So I think really this is a good proposal from Mr. Kramer, and I like to commend all the employees from the city of Nogales that did their due diligence and doing their homework. And so I personally think this is a good recommendation from our city manager.
My question, Laura, is later on we have the proposed order, but in the proposed order, we're looking at 360 million. That's 336,000 a year, compared to the 180, 190 that we're talking about right now. How does that double?
Yeah, so it's the implementation costs. So we were referring to the software costs, right? And that's where you're currently paying 154, and then our software costs, along with the two other partners that we're coming with for utility billing and for licensing and permitting, would be the 170 or whatever it is. Yeah. And then there's a separate cost for the implementation cost, and so that's where the difference is in those two numbers. And again, you remember this is over 10 years, right?
Jose and I talked about this and Miguel a bit, because he was with IT, just so you know, that any new software, any new programs you bring in, you're going to have implementation costs. Whatever you do on big scale like this, you're going to have implementation costs. And the implementation costs for once this company that we currently are using come to fruition, I don't know when, probably in the next 2 years, it may be even more. So again, I'm just saying that to answer your question before, since you said that, I believe that we are working on the paving project and we said the end of January and going into February. That's what is going to be transpiring to get those roads paved. We met with the street superintendent regarding that, Mr. Tony Santa Cruz. I believe his statement, I'm answering because I was said that I wasn't done with the project.
Oh, okay.
And that's why I'm bringing this up, because again, the public then thinks if they watch this that we're not doing it. I believe when we were with Mr. Tony Santa Cruz, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Garcia, I was driving, he was in there, and he said this is one of the few times that the city manager has actually taken me out, correct? Has actually ridden with me and listened to my opinion of how things should be done. So I don't make decisions, again, based on Joel Kramer's ego. I make decisions based on directors, managers, and everyone else that works for the city, get their input, and we work as a team. So when the city public works director and the city park or streets manager is driving with me, and we're going through it, and we're saying, yes, he's going to be starting this project and within the week or 2 weeks, then I expect it. Now, Mr. Doyle, if that's not done by March, then I'm going to go like you. What the heck's going on? But I can say this, Tony Santa Cruz has been with this city for a long time, and for him to say that the city manager has never taken him out driving, how many city managers have you had in the last 14 years? I'm just saying, again, I don't want to mislead the public that we're not doing stuff over there.
Mr. Bryant,
Mr. Mayor, I just want to be very clear. So we've got the 3 software costs right here, which are going to equal up to the 170, right? Which is going to be your reoccurring costs for the next 10 years. And then you have the one-time costs of the implementation. And so that's broken out right here, which is the 19,200 for the cloud permit, for the current software, 2,300, and then for Workday, 85,000 or 850,000. Sorry. Yes, my bad. Yes, yeah. So does that make sense? That's where the cost is coming in, is those one-time implementation costs. But for the remaining 10 years, you're going to be paying those first 3 costs right there, which would be less than what you're currently paying.
but it's less what we're currently paying, but it's plus the
implementation costs, correct.
which was had not been mentioned right now.
No, they've been mentioned the whole time. But as any new software that you're going to get, there's going to be an implementation cost associated to that.
Now, Jose, do we have any, with our current user, do we have any commitments on contracts or anything that's going to overlap?
The Acela, we would have to cancel before June. I think it's June 2nd or something. We would have to cancel that, so we wouldn't have to. No.
No pedal CPs, no nothing?
Be able to get out of that one. The current is something new. That's something that we don't have, and it's part of. Well, actually, yeah, there will probably be. We will have to pay for Encode this year, so it's because we'd have to carry that because we're not going to finish probably till the end of this year, and we'd have to have that insurance. So we would have to pay for Encode this year.
And that's very common, right? You want to be able to have that overlap. So I think you asked the question, you don't want to lose that data, right? So you want to make sure that that's all been transferred over.
Go ahead, Ms. Montiel. No, I'm just trying to make sure we throw out all the numbers out there and comparisons, because we talked about the 180, 190 range and all that, and then I'm looking at the order where it's, 3,336.
Correct.
360.
Yeah, it's the one-time cost, the implementation, then the software cost.
So it's a one-time cost, 850, but how does that, is that all paid on the first year? I say on.
It's not. No, we spread it over
spread it out?
7 years. Yes, we had a slide.
That's the 147.
Correct. Yes.
That's the 147.
Yeah, and we did that so you didn't have to pay upfront one big bulk payment, and you can spread the costs out over those 7 years.
And budget-wise, Jose and Mr. Kramer, how do we fit? Do we have this in our budget?
Do we have it? No, we would not right now. No.
No, no. Your good question, Mayor. We do not have that initial cost for this to bring in the software. We would have to take that out of our general account.
Another thing that we need to consider is that we had to add the 40,000 to the 100 and how much was ours? 150,000. So it'd be 190,000, and it's not going to be 190,000 for 10 years. It's going to increase also. They increase about 10%. Every year,
7 to 9,000 a year.
I mean, really, what we're talking about is just the implementation, because it's actually going to be with the efficiencies and everything. We're going to pay less for this software than we're currently paying for the siloed software that we have right now.
So basically, we're putting, if we're doing 3 or 4, we're going to have 1.
Yes, we're going to have, and that's really important because, like right now, if somebody needs a report, they go to this system, pull up some information, they go to this system, pull up some information, and then they go to another system, and then they have to marry all that, and that takes time. With this new software, we wouldn't have to do that. So we did. We looked at some of the other softwares, but we didn't want to go with Tyler because one of the big issues that I've always had with Tyler is that their support is only business hours. If at 5 we need support, we have to wait till the next morning. That's crazy. For as much as we pay over 100,000, that's crazy for them to not have 24-hour support.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, Mayor. Just to add what you're saying, and it's good questions, but on reporting, I'd asked for a report that I couldn't get from Tyler right now because of our different sewer rates, correct, and water rates. I wanted to get some reports done that we couldn't generate through Tyler because it wasn't enabling us to do that. The reporting, and back to you, for you as council members, anything reporting, working with Tyler, I asked for a report on what the levels of water rates and water for businesses. I was not able to, but they couldn't generate that report for me. Going on to what Jose's saying.
And as far as reports, so right now the auditors are requesting a report for consumption. They try to run it, and mind you, we have the software and the hardware that they recommend for the servers, and it locked the servers up. We have to wait till the end of the day to run those reports, because if we run it during the day, it'll knock everybody out. So those are some of the things that we're dealing with this older software. And Secretary just corrected me. It's 3:00 in the afternoon is when support closes, because they're in Texas.
Vice Mayor?
Jose, has the city lost any revenue because of the old system and how it's creating problems?
I think with that's another issue that we're facing right now with the utility billing, is that we've had some turnover. So yeah, the inefficiencies of the software and how many steps you have to jump through just to get stuff done. I think that's why we're behind on the billing, and we're just still trying to get caught up. And I think if we had this new software, it's more intuitive, it's easier to use, and we have the ability to call them. Like we have a gentleman that's working on that report that I'm talking that I mentioned earlier. He's been trying to get their support for the last couple of days just to answer a couple of their questions, and it's all through email, and we can't even get them on the phone. So it's just, yeah.
So the efficiency of this software program will correct all those problems and
it should, if implemented
compensate for those losses.
If implemented properly, yes, it should resolve some of these issues.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Montiel?
Okay, thank you. So, okay. So, Mr. Kramer knows me better, and he knows that I looked up your program, and I did a lot of research on it. And aside from, like Mr. Joel says, you're going to talk wonders about your program, But I also represent 19,000 residents here, okay? And there's 200 and some employees. That being employee-friendly user type of thing, of course, we want that to occur so that employees could do their job easier, and it could also result in better, result in better results. And so I'm going to talk about the elephant in the room. And it's not always nice to talk about the elephant in the room, right? But we have not had good results with our audit. And I have always been talking about the audit, because that's what tells us if we're doing an effective job, because this is taxpayers' money. And it seems like we know it's a fact. The audit's late again, will be late again, and there'll be some concerns. So I'm thinking here, this program, if this is a presentation, we're not taking an official vote today. It is?
Section 4.
Is it,
7-4.
is it an action? Oh, okay, it's action. Oh, orders. Oh, okay. That's right. Thank you. So the elephant in the room is we can talk about implementation, we can talk about the money, we can talk about the water utility bills that are outrageously driving everybody crazy. We can talk about inventory. We can talk about just making everybody's job easier. But the taxpayers have to pay for this program. And it's expensive, like anything that's good and effective it's expensive. It's obviously a very powerful unified cloud. It has a cloud platform, and data accuracy is going to be much better. It's very robust and all of that good stuff that you talked about. But it's an expensive program. So what you're saying here is that the program that we are using now is not effective and is probably not helping in getting an audit on time every single year. I talked to the auditors myself behind this room here, and again, it will be late. Nobody's fault. I'm not here to blame anybody, but we have that concern. Will this program help employees do their job better or facilitate it? Or I don't know. The auditor said that when they asked for information, they didn't have it in time. So they couldn't prepare an audit on time. Will this help the employees? Because they were talking about, is this easier for employees? Is this going to be helpful for them to be able to have a better turnover? Is this going to, and I would like to hear from finance too, because every year the buck stops with finance, right? They have not so much you, Jose, but finance has to give the information to the auditor so that they can audit. Like we give our information when it's time to do our taxes to our tax people. So I have to really talk about that out in the room. Will this program that taxpayers are going to pay going to facilitate for the city of Nogales to get their information ready to the auditors on time?
I believe so. Jackie, you?
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Good morning.
I'm Jacqueline. And yes, I believe it will absolutely, because right now what we're seeing is a lot of deficiencies in internal controls, right? Right now, the roles that we have with the Encode program don't really make it so we have two reviewers, especially Councilman Doyle, when you were talking about the requisitions, about purchasing, the procurement policies. This system has a really robust procurement procedures and how it's all implemented. Right now, we can't even get any of the attachments that have the supporting documentation to the program because, like Jose said, it overloads it, right? It crashes and we have to restart it all over again. With this program, and I've used it before, it is robust. We can automatically put all our supporting documentations and link it, for example, to invoices, to vendors, to all that information so we can have everything readily available so we can see it so it could be more efficient and it'll be easier to pull those reports and give it to the auditors because that's the issue I'm having right now, that I can't provide the auditors with efficient information and accurate without trying to piecemeal it. Like Jose said, we're trying to piecemeal all this information.
So, okay. So that means that if we were to approve this program, does that mean that it is a fix-all program, that we're going to have an audit in time, that we're going to have the information and the data that's required to... So next year when I'm sitting here, because I have 3 more years, and this program's going, we're not even going to be here in the next 10 years, and I would hate the people that sit here are going to have to inherit this situation that we're getting ourselves into, because we'll be out there doing our own thing, and we'll look back and say the taxpayers are still paying for it, because it's a 10-year thing. Not to mention it increases every year. So do you, in your opinion, is this going to facilitate getting that audit on time every year because you have the data available?
Yes, it will facilitate it, absolutely. Now, of course, we have to clean it up and make sure that all our entries and everything has to be properly. But yeah, it'll be more efficient. That way we can pull the reports, close the year on time like we should, have, those deadlines that we are supposed to be having from August, September, October, have all those deadlines. And I know the program gives us the checklist and gives us, hey, a little pop-up note. This has to be finalized. This has to be closed on this month so we can go into the next section, correct? And also for the CIFA, so we can get the CIFA on time because CIFA should be done by mid-November.
So meaning next year, and I'm being like Mr. Doe a little bit because he brings up a good point about the fact that, we are going to purchase a program. And like I said, it's good that we think about employees, but but also there's 19,000 people that are going to pay for this. We fail to forget that. And we need to understand that, we're going to make a big decision here. And I want to make sure that in the future that I don't sit here next year, the year after, and the year after, because 2 more years I sit here, that I hear people up there saying, oh, the audit's not ready. This program was very complex. We didn't have the staff development that's required, which we haven't talked about. We got to train the employees to use it. Because what I understand some of your criticisms when buying this program is it's very complex. I'm reading off some of the remarks that the people have used when they bought your program. These are some of the comments that they have, that it's complex, that it requires steep learning curve. It requires for employees to take some time out for training. And we already have issues right now with our utility billing. And so I want to bring that up, and it's on record, so that next year when I sit here, I will look at Jose and I'll look at the other rest of the finance people and say, you agreed and you recommended to the council that this program would resolve our audit issue, resolve our utility, resolve all the other issues that were brought up. We're going to have a great inventory, all these wonderful things. And I'll sit here and say, you all recommended this program. You all said this workday is going to solve the issues that are going on at the city of Nogales. And anyone can speak to it if you feel like you could add to it. So because this is a huge investment that's costing the taxpayers a lot of money. Thank you.
Ms. Jackie, how do you look at our funding to covering this?
We do have funding for it. Of course, it's not in the budget because it wasn't budgeted last year for this program, because this was not something that was probably brought up. But yes, we have funding to cover it because, as we've all said, it's going to cost us roughly the same, except of course for the implementation. But any implementation, that's an extra cost. So there won't be much of a difference. On the contrary, we'll be saving, because if we do not do this, we will have to bring in a human resource, right, software to come in and get all that together in order to also be able to talk to Encode. Because that's the issue we're having, that it's a lot of paper trail, that we have to have the paper trail input into one system, but then payroll has to input it as well, right? So there's a lot of margin for human error. And that's what we want to reduce, that human error.
So we're right now we got 2-3 streets to do our jobs where we'll have one, right? We'll have one source. It's a one-stop shop.
Yes, it is. And that's what makes it really incredible for us to work more efficiently, because we won't have to be going into different programs to pull different reports. So this way, it's all in one place. We can all tap into it, and all the employees can also be able to go in and change any of their forms that they need. If they have, more benefits, less benefits, so on and so forth, they have it readily available for them, instead of trying to come and make an appointment with HR to get that information.
Okay. Now, Laura and Brian, can you guys give us, if we do the decision, today or, early next month, whatever, what's the timeline and, with, of getting, everything installed and at a full capacity working, where we won't say, well, we agreed back in January and it's August and we don't know where we're at. Can you guys give us a timeline that you met our staff and that it'll be implemented, and because there is obviously a lot of work that's going to be with the transition from one to the other, but that we could have, like Ms. Montiel said, when we're asked outside this chamber, by the 19,000, we'll say it's going to be done by May, June, July.
Yes.
What can you tell us on that?
So I didn't put a timeline slide up here, but it's about 36 weeks. Okay. And again, we have over 11,000 customers. So you're not a guinea pig. We're very good at this, right? And to the point, this is taxpayer dollars. We need to be as responsible with every single penny for you guys. And that's something as well, going back to what Brian said about that predictable total cost of ownership. You're not going to have change orders and scope creep, or you're not going to have those things, right? So there are very specific entry and exit criteria for every phase of that deployment to make sure that we have what we need for you to be successful all throughout that 36 weeks. And then post go live, you'll have support on the backside to optimize and make sure that everything's good to go. If you run into any challenges, we'll resolve those. And that's also why our implementation is a bit more, is because you're going to have an experience during that 36 weeks that really does set you up for success. So that these problems that we're talking about right now that you guys have, you're not going to have them. And is it okay to go back to
Put that in writing, that we're not going to have those issues. I'm serious.
You know, in just talking about the audit as well, like that's super important, right? And we have an always on audit capability in there. So even if you're just like looking at something, making any changes, that's always tracked, right? You're going to have a paper trail. You can drill down in there. And yes, our software might be a little bit more complex, but one of the things about that implementation is that if we know you're sensitive to training, we can build that in, right? To make sure that we're more sensitive to cut down on that learning curve, right? Because again, you have everybody from Fortune 500 to small communities using our stuff. So each of those implementations needs to be custom tailored to your needs. So if we want to focus on more simple, more streamlined that training, that's how we're going to tailor this to you, right? And also because you're a smaller organization, you're going to be a little bit less complex than, say, Walmart. Right? So that goes into the configuration as well when we're building all of this out. And to what Jacqueline was saying about reducing the human error and everything, when we set up this system for you, taking your data over, we're going to make sure that those workflows and everything, you have what you need as you're going through the process, the documentation, the controls, all of that, so that you are able to be on time with those audits as well. Anything else?
No, I think the only other thing that I would say is I think you could find comments with any of, Workday or any of our competitors out there. What I would say is we like to say that one of our unique differentiators is our easy to use interface, right? So we like to say if you know how to order something on Amazon, you should be able to navigate your way through Workday. We have a Google-like search button where you can go up and Google something and it will bring up results for you. So again, not saying, I'm sure you saw that comment on there, but we like to say that Workday is very easy to use and easy to navigate. So just that's what we say is one of our differentiators.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, Jackie, I think I heard you say that you're familiar with this software, you've worked with this software. How user-friendly is it, and how easy is it to start working with the Workday software?
It is very user-friendly, just like they just mentioned that there's this really neat search bar, like a little Google bar. And you put in a report and it'll show you exactly, you can click the link and it'll send you to that report. Compared to our Encode, we have to go in, we have to know the actual name of it and what that report pulls in order for us to get information. So this makes it a lot easier to say, this is what I need, and it gives you a few options of it. So it is very, like they said, on the finance side, absolutely, you have to know accounting. You have to know the rules and regulations of accounting in order to pull those reports to know what's being posted and not posted, right? Because that's where the human error comes in. The system won't do it all on your own if you don't know what you're trying to tell it. So for that, it is that user friendly. We can get the reports. It's really easy to request a requisition. It's really easy for the workflow. What workflow goes in, and if it gets stopped at one place, it gives you a timeline, and it also will provide you with a little note saying, hey, it's been in your inbox for 2 days, so we can put those limitations instead of waiting a week, 2 weeks, and we forgot about it because, as we keep working, we get a lot more stuff. So this gives us a little pop-up saying, hey, you haven't revisited this in a certain days. So that made it very task efficient. That's what I really enjoyed about it. And I enjoyed the workflow that if one of them rejects like a contract or rejects an award because the numbers weren't inputted correctly or requests a requisition and it gets rejected, it'll pop up and let you notify your requisition has been rejected. At this point right now, if I reject the requisition, nothing happens. I have to get on the phone. I have to email and say, hey, I rejected your requisition for this, and these purposes. So that's the time consuming part of it. This will make it more efficient, less time, and it'll pop up right in front. So it is, I really enjoyed working with it.
So is it fair to say that this new software is just as easy as the old software that we have, or easier?
Oh, this one will be easier. Encode is not user-friendly. You have to know what you're looking for and what you need.
Okay, thank you.
Montiel?
A legal question. Mr. Estes, Mr. Estes, have you seen the contract? Have you revised or checked the contract to see that everything's in order? Yeah, okay.
And it's a cooperative purchase.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay. And, okay, so we have your blessing. Just last question, we'll finish this conversation, only because of the money thing. So I noticed throughout the years, just so we can have that said, is that increases, is that because of the you're going to say the implementation, right? Is that why it increases from year to year? Why does it increase from year? There's a time, I was doing my math right now, there's a time where it increases about 300,000. So why does it increase? It's like a home loan, right?
Yeah.
Type of thing. Give me a simple rationale. I'm not really good finance.
So it's because Workday and all three of these vendors roll out new feature functionality each year, right? So you're going to stay up to date on the latest and greatest feature functionality. And what's something that is unique about Workday is that new feature functionality actually comes from our customers. So for example, if there's something that's not in the system that you guys want to see, right, we take that feedback, we call it a brainstorm, and then in the new release coming in the next year, we'll make sure that functionality is in that new release. So we call it an innovation index. We don't have to do a 10-year contract. Most of the organizations that we sell to ask for a 10-year contract because they want that predictable cost model. It's actually cheaper to do that way. You could do a 3-year contract, but then on the renewal terms, right, for the remaining 7 years, it would be much more expensive than getting locked in. So that's why we see most organizations wanting that predictable cost model for 10 years and getting locked in. But to directly answer your question, we call it an innovation index, and it's because we're continually rolling out new feature functionality. So you guys will stay up to date with the latest.
So the new features are AI and all that stuff that's coming out.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, so that's what you're doing. You're making sure that you put the price in there for all those things that are coming up.
Yep,
all
exactly.
those techies that come up with all these programs.
Exactly. Because in 5 years and 8 years from now, technology is changing so
it
quickly.
changes every day.
Yeah, and we want to make sure that our customers are up to date on the latest and greatest technology.
Yeah.
So
just to make it clear, it's not $1.3 million. We're talking about, much. I can't do my math right now. I'm not focused, but it could go up to $3.some million with all the implementation cost and all that. If you move through the years.
No, so the implementation cost is just a one-time.
No, I know that, but if you go through all the years there, it can go up to in my mind, I'm just adding them up and I'm thinking it's not just 1.3. We're adding, if we were to implement this throughout the 10 years, we're going up to much more than 1.3.
No, it's just a one-time implementation cost.
Okay.
So, sorry. So if you look at the last bar, you're
I'm sure
actually
everyone
looking
understands.
at
I just don't.
1.2.
I want to make sure it's public.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you're actually going to see the Workday subscription at 1.2 million over the 10 years. Okay. And then for the utility billing, you'll see that at about 680. And then the cloud permit is going to be just under 320. Okay. So
For 10 years, it's 1.3.
yes. Oh, well, it's going to be more than that. So
That's my point. So it's
Yes.
more than
So
1.3 million.
yes, but for the Workday component, it's 1.2. Okay, and then for the utility billing, you're looking at about 680, and then 320 for the others. But you won't see another implementation price ever. We're never going to have to come back and be like, you need this.
More than 1.3 million. That's it.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'll just add, thank you for bringing those questions up for about when we're going to get implemented. 9 months is the maximum. They already know that we wanted it sooner. The 36 weeks that's where they said for everybody. We're looking at 30 weeks. We had chatted about that. I've got it on Read AI. By the way, Ms. Montiel, everything is on Read AI. So what you said, Laura, is already documented in writing. So there we go.
It just keeps tracks of everything.
What you said, will you put that in writing? Well, she already did. I'm just saying is, yeah, well, yes. And plus what they've told us is certainly being documented as far as what we're holding them accountable for. I already told them that in the beginning. Whatever we agree upon verbally, we're certainly going to be pushing that forward. The reason why we're trying to get this going now, so we get into this next fiscal year, we're only in 1 month of this, so we can roll this out in September. That was my goal for this, is next fiscal year for billing and whatever else. Certainly we don't have to pay so much for our fees. That's going to IT. It's trying to be cost effective, but getting it going, Mayor brought it up. They said 36 weeks. I had originally said 30 weeks. We somewhat agreed to that. Ms. Montiel, you brought up training. We did bring that up about training. This is very user-friendly for training. If it means coming in for half days and doing training, we will be doing that. If those of you that saw, and the directors will attest to that, they did attend the procurement training that was given by the state of Arizona. They did a procurement training. Laura and the gentleman, Eric.
Brian.
No, Eric.
Another guy.
No, Brian wasn't here. Laura and Eric were here for that
Yeah,
training.
Eric
correct?
and I attended your procurement training.
That's what I'm saying. The procurement training put it on by the state of Arizona. They came down to be sure that they knew our pains, what we're going through, the questions from the directors. So they did participate in that. If you noticed I sent you guys all pictures, we did HR training. We're doing training. We're implementing that. The departments, Leo is going to be starting going out there. So answer your question, Ms. Montiel, and long-winded. Yes, we'll be doing training for everyone that is going to be using this program. It is also brought to my attention that with Encode, it is site-based onto your computer, correct? Can I use Encode from my house? Logging in? On my computer at home, can I log into Encode?
You have some functionality, but not all of it.
Right.
This one provides all of it.
With this program, if I wanted to log in, I could log in from my home and do all the functionalities if I wanted to work at home for employees, anything to that effect.
And you can also have all that functionality from your phone as well. So it eliminates a lot of bottlenecks.
Not that I'm expecting employees, but those of you that are sorry, yes, you could work at home without paying overtime. But nevertheless, that's the point I'm trying to make too. Thank you.
Mr. Doe?
One last question for Jackie. Actually, you're the only one that has had hands-on experience. So, but you didn't tell us with who and for how long?
Oh, I was with Pima County. So Pima County was my former employer, and we implemented 2 years ago, I think it was. So we did the implementation. We went through the process. That was part of my job as well, to go through on the grants department section to make sure everything was running correctly, that the tests were being done, and everything would be smooth once we went live. And then we worked with it and got the grants information in there, so that worked really good as well. So the Workday worked very well with our team, getting the reports, making sure that our expenses and our revenues were equaling, and making sure that our receivables were there, that we were posting them, and it would also flag those when it would say, something's off. It would actually flag it so we can look at it and make sure that everything was being posted correctly.
You didn't encounter any stumbling blocks, drawbacks, or anything like that?
Well, those stumbling blocks were, of course, it was the training curve. Trying to get used to the new program, how it looks, how to navigate it. But once we got those trainings and everything started getting smoother, but it was those training blocks. And that's one of the things that I like about what we're going with, is that they're going to give us good training so we can navigate it easier. That's the only thing that Pima County didn't have so much a really good training effort on it, because we built a small group of people that was going to train us within internally. So with them, it'll be a lot easier, because they're going to come in and train us and make sure that we all know how to navigate it successfully.
Well, thank you so much for that, because you're the only one here that has had actually prior experience with it, and your information that you're giving us is really kind of valuable, because it takes care of having for us to, I guess, continue to try to find out a little more about this system. I think with what you've said, and it really adds credibility to the company. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian and Laura, something else in your screens that you feel that we should see? Because I'm not sure if you went through all of them.
We're happy to answer any questions.
Sure.
No, I think we're. Yeah. Any additional questions? Because we want to make sure you're very.
I just want to make sure that we saw everything you wanted to show. I don't want to
Yep.
be later and said, oh, it was in the stream, but we never went through it.
Yeah, I think we've talked about just about everything. We may have done it a little bit out of order, but very much appreciate the thoughtful dialogue and questions. This is a big decision, and again, it's about serving your community. So we're grateful that you're asking those questions here today.
Okay. Thank you. Council, any other questions? No. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. We move on to number 3. Above ground fuel tanks. Mr. Garcia, please.
Sorry, I did it.
Mayor, Council, thank you for having me here for this presentation. This presentation is about the fuel tanks that the city of Nogales has to fuel our fleet of about 250 vehicles. This study was done in 2018. It was approved in the budget since then, and it has been carried over and over through all these years. There was a budget approved for it for $723,000 our team got together and reviewed the data of usage and capacity of the tank, and we were able to come down 158,000 plus less than what budgeted, and we're still looking into saving some more. We're going to a very high-tech tank. It's bulletproof and shockproof, and it should serve us minimum with all the safety features for 30 years. We expect the savings to be that this budget should be paid in less than 10 years, but the service will be a lot more than that. By doing that, we take away the tank from the present location to a new location away from the building. We couldn't do it in the same place now with, I'm sorry?
It's not on the screen.
It's not on the screen? All right. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So by taking it away from the building, we couldn't do it in the same place with the actual Fire Code 2018. So we're taking it away. Right now, there's several hundred vehicles going next to it daily. We have, when they're filling the tank, they block the access. When there's a large fire truck, also, we have very reduced area to get in and out of the parking in the back, where we have our fleet and all the vehicles for water, sewer, sanitation. So by analyzing the numbers and location, we were able to come down with price, and we're still looking into doing some in-house so we can save a little more. Like I said, this is in the budget. It's been carried over and over. And the presentation is just to let you know that that's the tank. The tank needs to be built. It'll take 6 months once we do a down payment. And as you can see, it says there fire protection, security. It's good for 30 years at least. And EPA approved. We did get with Safety Officer Leo Lopez and Fire Chief Ken Larriva, and we are within compliance of the code. That is the new circulation of vehicles. The blue on the right, that is the dispensers. The dispensers that we have now, they're very old. There's no parts for them. And every time they break, it costs us an arm and a leg because we have to implement other stuff. I mean, it's really outdated. It's dangerous. We're going to be paving all that area. It's included in the budget. It will be fenced. It will be like car restricted to access it. The orange is we're adding a flushing bathroom and a sink. In the present location, we had a porta potty. So we're adding within the budget, within the savings that we're doing. And we'll pay the rest of the parking for the vehicles that we park there. So it's not just the savings, we're improving the whole facility. Those are the numbers. They're not final. We will be saving some more. We're doing, since we have a AutoCAD technician, we'll be doing the surveying, which we were giving it to somebody else. We're doing in-house, so the savings will be larger than that. I'm not including the sale of the tank. You can go to auction, or we might find a buyer for it. And the area where the tank stands now, it will be extra space for our vehicles, which we need. That's it. I wanted to do it short then.
Any questions? Vice Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Garcia, how old is the tank that we currently have?
I couldn't tell you, but I'm guessing it's 50 years.
So this was guaranteed for 10 years and we have one for 50 years?
Well, it is very dangerous. Our place is sinking. It used to be a dump area.
Yeah.
So it's sinking, and there's conduits, steel conduits that have electrical wiring and fuel. My office is right next to it.
Good move.
Conflict of interest.
But so that tank is 18,000 gallons. It will blow the whole building out, and maybe Parks and Recs.
Including your office.
Oh, yeah, my office is right next to it. There will be nothing left. I mean, it is.
Mr. Nolan, it's 18,000. Is it half 9,000 gas, 9,000 diesel, and how much is this one gonna have?
It's
We use more gas. Or diesel?
8,000 unleaded. We have 8,000 diesel for road, and we have 2,000 for red diesel. Unleaded now will be 8,000, which is what we use a month. We'll be filling it up twice a month. The red diesel, it used to be that there was a difference, a significant difference, not anymore. The difference right now in price, it's 3.7 cents average. It's nothing. So we're getting rid of red diesel. We use between 300 and 500 gallons a month. It's not worth it. That's why we're saving. We have one less dispenser. We have a smaller tank, but it'll be filled twice a month. This month we paid $1.95 for unleaded. Last month we paid $1.93 per gallon for unleaded by having the tank. The savings of having the tank on site versus filling up in the
gas station.
someplace else, it could be from 75 cents to $1 less a gallon. So with the savings, we pay it very fast. I cannot predict the future, but it could be 7 years to pay for it and have a life of over 30 years. If it lasted 50, this one would last a lot more. This is bulletproof also. So it has to be built. So,
accommodate.
If city manager allows it, we'll do a down payment and have it ready in 6 months. By the time we have the place paved, we'll have the restroom, we'll have a concrete apron where the trucks park. Because if we don't do that, the payment will just dissolve with the deal.
That's what I was gonna ask.
We'll have a canopy, we'll have lighting. We have a lot of policemen that go in and field at night. We're doing.
But you got to figure out, because you got our highest vehicles, probably the ambulances. The fire trucks.
Yeah, the radiuses of access. We look into all of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just me, but it was fire chief and safety officer and my team in public works. We've been putting a lot of effort into it. We're doing fencing ourselves.
Does the paving need to have some type of protection because of the gasoline or diesel that?
Yes, that's why we're doing concrete apron in front of the pumps. And the asphalt needs repair, but we're putting it into this budget, including it. We're doing it in-house. So the whole area of that parking, it was paved, 25% was paved not too long ago, about a year ago. We're going to do the rest, 75% remaining, but it's still within the budget.
Okay.
We're saving a lot of money by studying what we needed.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Garcia, are you have any plans for electrical vehicles in the future, and are we prepared and set up for that?
I asked several people, and familiar with that. One of them was a waste management. I asked them. They said it won't happen soon. I mean, those big trucks, diesel is the way to go. So we did make the tank smaller, just in case. So that's why we're filling it twice instead of once. By filling it twice, we're going to pay $100 more for delivery. We're buying the fuel from Synergy. I did look into others, looking for price difference. I couldn't find nothing cheaper than them. They're state contract pricing. So that's why we analyzed that and we said, what if that happens? That's why we made it smaller, but we're saving a lot of money by doing that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Good
Thank
job.
you, Mr. Garcia. I think that the whole team did a good job and the cost savings and everything that he explained. I think it's very important that, again, the three of them were getting together. So with, of course, working with me. And it's already been budgeted, so just so you know, so we'll keep moving forward with that.
Okay, we now move to number 4, discussion items. Number 1, discussion and possible action in kind support for April 24, 2026 event at Palo Duro Courtyard, Fiesta Carne Asada Boys and Girls Club, by Mr. Germán Zelaya from the Boys and Girls Club. And possible action.
You're gonna action.
No, here,
Says possible action.
it's right here, yes.
Sorry. Well, then
Yes, sir.
Discuss.
Mm-hmm.
You're like me now.
Well, I'm gonna bring up Councilwoman Montiel because you brought up. Your in-kind, just so you know the process now. In-kind is not going through Parks and Recs. It's going through facilities. And Carlos Milan, who's our facilities manager, will be handling the legwork for now on for facilities. Because most of the interest of porta potties, everything to that effect, comes through Public Works Department. So he's now going to be doing that, which is fine. And Noe's already aware of it. Jessica's aware of it. If he needs to reach out to Jessica for anything with Parks and Recs, but we're moving it back under where probably the responsibility should lie. And then it's whatever you get, I'll get it. I'll send it over here. I'll bring it back. Just so you know the process. So I had him give me the cost. Okay, you're wanting to approve it, but I think it was brought up, and Mr. Estes, correct me if I'm wrong, the threshold was $1,000 for in-kind? Yes? Okay, so it's I will
order.
present the information for this before you go ahead and approve it, because the total cost without employees is $2,600.
Where'd you get 2,600?
Okay, I'll give you the figures because I just assigned this to Carlos Milan for doing it. The porta potties, the costs for porta potties are $180 at 8 of them, correct?
We've never had a cost on porta potties. No, because we're not.
I know, okay.
We've always looked at it because we're not in the business of renting them out.
All right, I'll stop then.
We're not in the business of renting them out. We have them in stock, and it's basically we've given them as a user.
What I'm trying to bring up is what you asked me to do from the last time when Mr. Estes, your legal, from Councilwoman Montiel. Unless you change that threshold, you're gonna have to go back and change your ordinance. But right now you have it as $1,000. I know Mr. Doyle I know Mayor Maldonado. That's the way we've always done it. I know that rings true. That's the way we always do it. We always do it. I'm just informing you. I'm not making this decision. You guys are voting on it. That's not I'm only telling you what the costs are. The cost for porta potties was $1,400 according to Mr. Milan, $180 each.
Just real quick. If I could, just real quick. Even though the city already has the equipment, you still have to provide a reasonable value for that because you are giving city use of city equipment to a private entity. So you need to establish that. You can't just say that, well, we already have them, so it's not going to cost us anything. You had to acquire them, you have to service them, you have to replace them. So there are costs associated with that equipment. So you associate that cost of that equipment to what is being requested, is all that he's saying. He's not saying that it's going to cost the city $180 for that porta potty for that event, but that is the value of what is being provided to that event.
I don't agree with the value.
All right, wash stations, 160, barricades 60, Trash cans, 150. The 8-yard trash container, 350. Total, subtotal was, and then taxes he figured in.
Trash cans, 150?
That's what he put.
You could buy it.
$10 each, $15 at $10 each to rent.
I think these numbers are way out. Council, I think these numbers are not legit.
And then, hold on, I didn't
Go ahead.
finish, Mr.
How about the employees?
Yeah,
You
well,
have
I
to
know.
get 'em out.
Again, if I don't get to finish talking,
Go ahead.
it's interjected, then you don't get the full cost. This also figures in with the employees of the setup and the takedown of all this as well. That's what you would charge. That's what we're charging the company that's using to have a set up porta potties down there. That's what we're charging them. They're going to be billing us, so we're saving money. That's a good thing for us with McKinstry that's doing down there. Mayor, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just giving you the figures. I'm not telling you how to vote. I'm just bringing up what it is. Because when legal tells me something or what is brought up at your meetings, I am only doing my job as your city manager to report. I gave you the report. I'm done talking.
Yeah, Mayor.
You didn't talk about the employees.
I said that was probably he figured that cost of employees for the setup and takedown to travel over there, to take them up, set them down, gas, this such. I think they're asking for 3 hours of time from employees on that too. So again, this should have been how this should be handled, and this is my opinion, is the person that's requesting this now that knows they should go and actually meet with Mr. Milan to actually sit down and negotiate the prices and say, this is what I need, this is what I need, this is what I got in an in-kind request given to me. I then assign this to our in-house.
I have a question. Are they charging for this event?
They always charge. They charge for the food.
It's a donation for the Boys and Girls.
No, but
They're charging, even though they say it's a donation. So
Well,
my idea was, my understanding was that if they are charging for the event, then they can afford paying for
they
this.
charge
isn't it?
for the food, for the plate,
Yeah.
not for the event, for the plate. You know, I've been involved with the Boys and Girls Club ever since they came down. They charge you for the plate. Back in my days, I recall they sell close to 2,000 plates. Okay, I'm gonna say 70% of those plates are probably picked up or delivered. You know, warehouses buy them and they send for 20 plates, 30 plates for their warehouse people and stuff like that, or their office people. But a good 70% of those plates are delivered or picked up.
But they're paid for.
They're paying for the food.
you have to pay.
The event itself, basically, is not. You could say you could go to the event without
Eating.
and enjoy it at no cost. They're selling you the plates.
More or less, do you know how much are they getting with this event?
Last year, I think they increased it to $35 a plate.
And they're selling 200 plates?
Like, no, 2,000.
1,000?
Yes.
Oh.
That's,
This is the Boys and Girls Club biggest fundraiser, and it's been probably there since the early '90s. I think they increased the price no more than 3-4 years ago, because it was always $25.
So they're roughly getting about $7,000?
Yeah, and their sponsors also, they get sponsors and everything.
Beg your pardon?
70.
$70,000.
70,000.
Yeah.
70.
Oh,
Not 7.
Oh,
70.
well, it's 71, really. God.
You're off by
Mayor?
1,000.
Just to clarify, you said that, they're just charging you the food. But you just said it was the biggest fundraiser, so I imagine that Boys and Girls Club has a certain percentage in what they cost it out the plate. They're not gonna break even, just selling $35 and it costs them $35 to produce a plate. So I imagine that since you're more involved with them, what is their profit margin off these $35?
I do not.
They're not. I'm sure they don't do the event because you just said it was a fundraiser.
They're making money, but it's for their operations that we support, giving them the building, because that building belongs to the city.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not sure if you guys ever go to the Boys and Girls Club. I was there roughly a month ago. They had over 250 kids. They open the doors every day of the week. So
I will just say this too, I forgot to mention because I kept getting paused, but nevertheless, you also have to look at that building has been renovated. We are going out to bid, and by the end of this month, I believe we've got 4 people that are interested in opening that restaurant up at the direction and that we wanted to go with that. We hope to have a process going in February, get somebody in there with a contract obviously created by myself and vetted by the attorney, bringing back to you a tenant into that restaurant. That courtyard will be part of that agreement. We also are working currently on the restrooms outside by the pool area. By the way, if you haven't visited the pool area, it's all done. The deck looks great. We'll be ready for that opening this year. But the restrooms will be done, I believe, by the end of the month or the first week in February. We will be able to open those offices up for rent. So you're going to have probably tenants in those office spaces facing the beer garden. So you have to take that in consideration too, is that are the tenants, do I rewrite the contract then for the tenants? By the way, that Friday, you're going to have to close because of this fundraiser. Because you will probably have tenants, and is the person that is going to oversee the restaurant going to say, yes, go ahead and have that fundraiser on what I'm renting? Because when you have somebody renting, they are technically have the ownership rights for that facility.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
you got me lost. So we're talking about the
Palo Duro restaurant and the offices that are corresponding right next to it, right
and
where
you're
the pool is.
And you're saying it's been rented?
They're going to be rented.
When?
Well, we should have those again.
The future of the ex-restaurant that always used to be there is to lease it or rent it.
We're going out to, we've already gone out to bid, Esther.
Pero,
So the answer
if we're smart, we lease it with the mentioning of, hey, this is an event that can happen here in the out. It's got the stage. You've had events there.
Yeah.
It's got the stage. It's got the, we redid the whole adobe outside and they put cement. You just gotta rent it with the knowledge of letting them know there might be other events. The restaurant's gonna favor it because once the event outside it's over, they're gonna end up probably at the bar inside.
or they get the food and they charge for the food outside that they're renting.
Well,
I mean, that's another discussion, but I'm just bringing this up just so you know. You understand what I'm saying? Those office spaces will be ready to be rented. So if we get a beauty salon in there, they're going to have that Friday event in front of their beauty salon.
So this
Microphone.
So may I?
Go ahead.
So what you're saying, Mr. Kramer, is that this location might be rented by the time the Boys and Girls Club wants to hold their event on April the 24th.
Correct.
That's what he's saying. That
Correct.
We might approve something today, but by April 24th, that might be rented already.
Yes.
There you go. Okay.
Now, if you want to
The
know,
outside, the inside.
no,
If you,
What Mr. Kramer is saying again, from what I understand, is that it comes with a package. You're going to rent it to this restaurant. So the rest of the area perimeter is going to come along with the person that the city decides to give that contract to.
Correct. The city works it out smartly that we can have city events there, which is this one. Okay. Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Yes, the Boys and Girls Club, they have their own building. If they use their own facilities there and the building, wouldn't that cut the price down and maybe
They've done it
it's
before.
starting to work it out? Because they have a big gymnasium there. So, you know, the mayor said that 70% of their customers are takeout. So, you know, they can serve their event there at their property, and that would cut down on the cost. Can we discuss that with them?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ms. Parada wants to talk.
I just had a question. So we're talking about the threshold of 1,000, and we're looking at 26 right now. So that means I'm not sure, do we pay the 1,000 and then they pay the difference of 1,600?
Under the current, what do you have? Yes.
I just, it's a discussion for the future with Palo Duro in regarding, you know, the tenants that we're going to have at Palo Duro. Mayor said that maybe after the event, they might go in and eat or go to the bar. I know for a fact that's not going to happen.
No.
Because people go there and they drink. So when the event is over, it's over. And so I don't see any plus for our tenants who are going to be at the Palo Duro as far as them making extra revenue. I know they won't. I come from the hospitality business, and I can tell you that that won't ever happen. So it's a discussion for the future. I don't think the restaurant is going to be up and operating by the time this event is on, but nevertheless, in the near future, we're going to have to look at this anyways.
Okay. Mr. Doe?
I'd like to know who's approving all these tenants without council approval.
Tenants have not been approved, or they're barely going up for bid, correct? You're bidding them.
We haven't approved it yet.
Oh, so that's going to take a while.
You know, yeah. They're probably not gonna be there by this year's event.
Well, we hope they get a contract back to you guys by the end of March.
Yeah.
And the tenants, Mr. Doyle, I haven't brought anybody in. And again, the tenants will come through you with contracts. Much like the past where you're right, they didn't do it that way, but this way it's going to be done the correct way. But the tenants with let's say a beauty salon, if it's ready by the end of the month or the middle of next month, they could get up and running by the middle of March, end of March. But we'll bring those contracts to you. I'm not going to do that because we got to set rent and everything else. No.
So is it a possibility of maybe talking to the Boys and Girls Club of maybe doing the event at their area?
Or maybe at the soccer fields, like we have 4th of July.
Yeah.
I mean, it's another place. It's closer. The cost maybe wouldn't be so hard about transporting stuff. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things that could be discussed over there with them. Again, ideas, right?
Okay, Mr. Estes. So I think that we're missing the boat here. At least I am. So there is a policy that says, let's go with the legalities of all this. We can have opinions and we can have ideas where they can hold all these events and so forth. But in-kind money is public funds, period. It doesn't matter if there's bathrooms out there and they belong to the city of Nogales and they're going to be used at an event. We need city of Nogales employees to move those, to clean those, to transport, whatever have you. Same thing with barricades, same thing with trash cans. The fact of the matter, there's a policy that says that we can only spend $1,000. If we don't like this policy, then we change it. But the policy is $1,000. That's it. So when they add these costs and I trust the employee that it costs $2,600. I am not willing to overlook that policy. I am not going to get in trouble with the law that says there is a gift of public funds. And you know where I'm going, Mr. Estes. We have to be talking about in the future how comfortable we've become to spend monies of the public, giving left and right this in-kind for any activity that somebody wants to do out in the public. They approach one of us or they approach Mr. Kramer and says, I want to do a 5K run downtown. We close the street, we inconvenience the police department, the fire department, so forth. We are public officials and it's hard for us to say no. But the fact is that there's a policy that says we can only spend $1,000. And not only that, we need to start looking if anybody that comes to us, it doesn't matter who it is. Oh, I want to have an event out there. I want you to close. I'm recommending or I'm asking, requesting that you close the street. We need police force there. We need barricades. We need public. Now we need, public the employees to come and close the street, to put the bathrooms, to put all of that. It costs money. I'm not sure if we are breaking the law, the clause of gift of public funds, and just sitting here and saying and putting on the agenda and saying we're going to spend the taxpayers' money in funding these events. Some of them make money. Some of them are making money. The Boys and Girls Club, regardless, it pulls on our heartstrings. My daughter attended Boys and Girls Club while I was working. Of course, but who's not going to agree on helping Boys and Girls Club? But the fact is there's a policy, number one, that we can only spend $1,000. Number two is we need to start thinking about it. I certainly don't want to be in trouble with the Attorney General, because if anyone in this community says, I want the city to pay in kind for an event that I'm going to hold, and if we sit on the dais and we say, okay, yes, or we say no to that person, I think we are getting ourselves in some legal problems in the future. Who are we to decide that if Mr. Melendez wants to have an event and we here on the dais decide, yeah, we're going to give you in kind or we're not going to give you in kind? Who are we to decide? I think we need to start talking about the city of Nogales is becoming this entity that gives in-kind monies to whoever requests it. And if we decide to put it on the agenda, then we take a vote. But let's say I want to have an event and it's on the dais and we choose not to fund it. But the other person just asked last month and we funded it. I think we're getting into some real legal issues. I don't want to be responsible because the Attorney General, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Estes, can come down on us and say, you as public officials cannot decide who's going to get in kind and who's not going to get in kind. And I don't feel comfortable because I looked at the clause of gift of public funds, and it is very, very detailed on how we use public funds. So I went to the entity here up north, and I asked around if they give public funds. They give public funds. I mean, in-kind funds. Nope. But yet, they participate. Everyone in this community participates in these events, but the city of Nogales taxpayers is paying for those events through in-kind. In-kind is taxpayers' money, regardless how you see it. So I want your legal opinion. Again, I know you've given it to us, Mr. Estes, over and over, and your recommendation was, and it's on public record, that we do not give in-kind, that we shouldn't be doing it. I'm not going to take the words out of your mouth because you're an attorney and you speak much better. But I wanted this, again, elephant in the room to be spoken about. I feel very uncomfortable spending taxpayers' money and giving out in kind. I think we're the only entity right now in Santa Cruz County that's doing that.
can I have your opinion on the gift of clause, the specific gift of clause? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the gift and loan clause. So as we've discussed in the past, the Arizona Constitution has a gift and loan clause that prohibits government entities from giving public funds, and the use of equipment, personnel and stuff would be considered public funds because it has a cost associated with it. The council has adopted, and it's a current order of the council, a maximum of $1,000 of in-kind contributions. That doesn't go into detail as to what types of entities or events that those in-kind contributions should be provided for. I believe we had a work session where we provided the council with very detailed policies and processes and procedures for everything, but the council chose at that time not to move forward. So at this point, you guys need to make these decisions on a case-by-case basis until you want to adopt and have those policies and processes in place. So that it's not something for Joel or myself to say this is a council decision. We've provided you the information. I'm not going to sit here and say that providing services to the Boys and Girls Club is a bad thing, or that they're not a good entity, or they're not deserving, and there's a whole lot of things that go into all the different events, and I think that the council should take a look at establishing clear guidelines so that you don't have these issues coming up all the time like you've had recently. You had an event last month that you declined in-kind contribution for.
Exactly.
And so there's complaints that, well, why did you give in-kind contributions to other events, but you didn't to that event? Or why are you considering in-kind contribution for this event, but not those events? Is it because, well, they've been doing this event for so many years? So does just the fact that you've been doing an event for so many years qualify you for an in-kind contribution? There's a lot that you as a council need to make those decisions.
Could I add?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
The event last month or last session that was declined was a private entity asking for a nonprofit, so that was the main confusion. It was a private entity offering that it's gonna donate to a nonprofit. We in my first year, we put $150,000 to help out, support events. Remember? And it's still there. It's still there. We have Ms. Montiel. Yes, I understand it's taxpayers' money. When you ask me to support an event outside Santa Claus and everything, even from my budget, it's taxpayers' money. I understand that. Here we have a facility, a nonprofit organization that we've helped out. The city has always been there for them. Even before I got into politics and all that we've helped out 500, 600, 700, 800. I'm not sure how many members. And like you said, your daughter went there. But it's a big thing and part of the community. We've always helped them out. I see it very, very harsh that our own administration puts some $150 trash can charge. Come on, they could buy a trash can for $40 at Home Depot if we're going to be charging $150 a trash can. That's outrageous. That's why I don't agree with these numbers. We're lending them. We're not selling to them. That's why, when we did the remodeling of the floor and the cement and everything, at least I've always talked, whoever rents the restaurant should understand there's events out there because it's a great venue, a great area to have events. You know, the pool. Why is the pool getting remodeled? You know, for use and probably for events. It's not, you know, it's not because it's just Meadow Hills. It's beautiful. It's because we want to get used to it. You know, give it some use. Go ahead, Miss.
My only concern is that we have never decided if we're gonna just the difference between any organization that is making a profit against an organization that is doing it for free. It's a big difference. A big difference. Yeah, it's non-profit, but they're making a profit.
Ms. Melendez.
Thank you.
Ms. Melendez, they gotta find ways to support their own organization. You know, look at the cost that they have running. You know, the you know what they give to the kids. You know, any organization, non-profit, got to find how to fund itself.
Yeah.
And this is the way they fund themselves. You know, and we're gonna take the chair out of the you know, for them to sit. I think we're wrong.
That's not what we're doing.
And that's not what we're doing. I'm sorry.
I know, but you know, we're giving out. Say it's 2,600. I know they get, you know, donations from it. You know, they get donations. They make some money from the plates. But it, you know, I know that they volunteers for the Boys and Girls Club, you know, adults, myself and others, put in a long day to support this event to happen. Go ahead, Mr. Bonilla.
Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong. Many years ago, when I used to work for a truck brokerage company, which is next to your workplace, Boys and Girls held their event at the adjacent warehouse right there. You remember? It's maybe
They used to have it, Mr. Bonilla, but however, since all the you know the what's the word? Since all the safety things with the warehouses, the certifications, and all that, all those warehouses cannot have events. It's very rare that a warehouse holds an event because they will lose their certifications. That's why a bunch of the warehouses don't let you the warehouses no more.
Yes,
under their certifications.
So okay, so my follow-up question, Mayor, is Mr. Bojorquez brought up, does the venue have to be at Palo Duro at this point? I mean,
I think that they've done a great job, you know, ever since they came back to it. You know, they had it years before there. We brought it back the last 2 years. This would be the third year. And, you know, everybody that goes talk great about it being there. And that's why they've asked for it again.
Well, the only issue, Mayor, that I see is you are right. You are correct that Boys and Girls do give back a lot to this community. I took my older boys a few times to the Boys and Girls Clubs. But I think looking back at how we've been doing things and because we've had training or we've been taught what is okay to, when we call it in kind. And so now we have to really look at this as like, it's not a matter if it's a Boys and Girls is a bad event. It's a good event for the community, but the whole issue of the in kind, and I do agree these prices are kind of high, like the trash cans and even the porta potties, but that's a conversation for another day. I think that we need to, Mr. Estes, I think we need to come up with some type of form or checklist of to sort of scan out, weed out participants that want to use that or want in kind from the city, To me, it doesn't matter if they're nonprofit. The issue here, Mr. Bojorquez, is that they're charging money. That's the issue. It doesn't matter if they're nonprofit or private entity. It doesn't matter. Once that organization is charging, then that's what changes everything. And that's what we didn't know maybe a year or two ago. Now we do know. So that's the only reasoning I can see that or is cause for concern right now. But I do, Mayor, agree that this event for the Boys and Girls Club is a good thing. But we need to sort of cross our T's and dot our I's as far as when it comes to in-kind.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to thank you for bringing that up because you brought up a very good point. Why they moved away from the private sectors because of liability. Mr. Estes, but we brought about this when we had this discussion. You certainly had you have all the paperwork in front of you of how we could facilitate this, doing the facility request, everything. The liability lies on the city for this event.
They furnish their own insurance.
But they provided it to us in a copy here. See, when they do what you're saying is they provide that $1 million liability when they do a facility request form. And again, I'm not disputing for my rookie for his first time figures that could be off. We could certainly check. I know that was through Noe's office, but nevertheless, I'm not disputing right now on that. It's for another day. But I think you brought up a very good point. Private industries don't want to take on the liability. And we're right now, I think an attorney, besides Mr. Estes, told me once, you don't want to take on that liability. But we are, and I'm just, again, George, boys and girls, I used to work with them all the time when I was in the schools. Every nonprofit, everything else. I am all about that, for sure. I think the point is that the assessing the liability and the financial responsibility onto the city as your city manager, I'm just giving you that information along with your attorney. Nothing against the 25 years of supporting, because I remember their son back and graduated with your daughter back in 2000. Yes, whoever was running it, we were doing everything we could to help them. That's not the point. Point is again, it's your liability factor and your financial responsibility to the city regarding this. So I have nothing. The boys and I even said, well, maybe the soccer fields will bring these prices down and under the $1,000 threshold that you have right now. Or like you suggested, Vice Mayor, doing it over there. Whatever we can do to help, obviously.
Go ahead,
but again, I'm just bringing that in. I'm just bringing the information to you guys.
Could we raise the? I'm sorry.
Just to answer Councilman Bonilla's comment on the nonprofit. Nonprofits have a different reporting finance to the state and to the government. They don't call it profit. They call it surplus, and that's how the nonprofits survive when they establish a business. So the way that the way they use that income coming in from different donations and organizations is to run the program. If there's lack of funding in the state or in the federal government, they have to do it their own way to continue their services. So that's why I said, that they're a nonprofit organization. The other thing I think I recommend that we table this item and bring it back maybe the next meeting in February and work something out with the Boys and Girls Club. If they want to use their facility, maybe we can do some of the, provide them with trash cans and things like that. The cost would be minimum. So,
anybody else?
Does nobody else? No. Okay, my last comment is this: I'm going to follow the ordinance. I'm sorry, the policy, and there's a policy of $1,000. That's the bottom line. We can talk about our opinions, we can talk about ideas and suggestions, but the fact is that there's $1,000 limit, and until we change that, then we can start looking at definitely in kind, and then the gift of public funds that I think we're violating, and until we sit down and talk about that. I have a question, Mr. Kramer. Does anybody else in Santa Cruz County, other government entities, there's not very many, give in kind to any event that they are asked?
You put me on the hot seat.
No, it's
All
not.
right.
I mean, it's
I'll
very
answer
easy to answer it,
I
yes or
answered that
no.
question, but I got chastised last time.
Doesn't matter.
Councilman, am I safe?
That's
to
okay.
respond to you?
I don't know.
All right. Both school districts do not. They have facility requests. They even charge for the youth soccer leagues to use fields. I will say this, churches are great, aren't they? We all have a church. The Nogales High School made a ton of money renting the auditorium for church. I'm just saying, again, we charged. Santa Cruz Valley Unified School District charges everything, any fields, anything, auditorium, whatever, charges. Our bike race that Mr. Doyle, when he first brought me down and when I first started, was it October, the bicycle race? We do not charge other entity to the, just right on on Mariposa, on the hill, they charge.
They
correct?
charge in kind?
No, they charge for their police, their sheriff service.
That's what I mean. They
Yes.
don't give in kind. They
No,
charge.
they charge. Where does most of the bicycle race start? It starts in Nogales, but where does it, how far out? Sonoyta?
Yeah.
Tubac?
All of Santa Cruz County.
Right. Do you think they charge? They do not. Correct?
Yeah, but they charge the
Yes, they charge. Do we charge? No.
in kind.
We give in kind.
So, so an answer to my question is that so City of Nogales has traditionally and wants to continue giving in kind to anybody that is upon us here on the dais.
Yeah, we're not
That's the bottom line. So would I propose, Mayor, that we give them $1,000 because that's what the policy says. And because we don't want our good folks and my friends over there at Boys and Girls Club to think that we're not or we're against them. Because I don't want to come off as like we are, disagreeing with the Boys and Girls Club. Who disagrees with any entity, especially Boys and Girls Club? But the policy allows us to give them up to $1,000 until we change the policy and we have further serious discussions about the city of Nogales giving out in kind to whoever we want. I think that needs to be further discussed. So I propose that we give them $1,000 because that is what is allowed by the city of Nogales.
Ms. Montiel, the only thing, I think, Ms. Kim, besides today, in the past, what was our porta potty cost on an in-kind? Zero, right? What was our cost for a wash station? Zero. What was our cost for a trash can? Zero. Huh?
It can't be zero. He just said it costs to bring. Workers have to.
Yeah, that goes with workers. That does not, you're not going to charge it for a trash can $150, Ms. Montiel.
Okay, Mr. We're getting into the details.
I know.
It costs money to get the barricades there, to get.
Okay, so what's that cost, Miss, to take the stuff over there and bring it back, and then and the workers that they use. What was our cost? In the past. Mm-hmm. But in the past, you guys were the ones in charge of it, right? Mm-hmm. So, Mr. Garcia left. Our in-kind, Parks and Rec or Public Works, Ms. Hernandez, you were my secretary. Our in-kind was the cost of putting it there and the workers. Trash cans, porta potties, wash stations, containers did not have a cost. You do not charge them a cost for that.
Well, I'll say this, man. I see what you're saying, but right now we're charging the company down there these rates.
Yeah, that's a private entity. I know.
The city's paying for
The Boys and Girls Club is not a private
Right.
entity.
Right. So
It's a nonprofit.
Just under the gift and loan clause, the Constitution doesn't make a difference between a nonprofit, a profit, an individual, a church. It doesn't make a difference. They're all considered private entities under the law. So just so there's clarification on that question.
Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Yeah, well, I agree with Councilwoman Montiel. We can go ahead and support them up to $1,000. But the other issue is Palo Duro will not be available since we're going to be doing business with other entities there. So that's the hurdle we need to jump right now. So that, going up to $1,000, I'm okay with that. It's just that are we clear that we can use that area? If it's being used by other entities.
Mayor? Can I make a recommendation?
Yes,
Table it?
please.
If you would, if you could table it, and then we can go back and we can dial in the numbers on the cost of the items, because as you mentioned, is that when we look at, okay, if we're providing a garbage can, it's not just the actual can, it's setting it up, it's dumping it, it's transferring the waste to the waste. There's a lot more that goes into that, but we can look at, okay, what do those cost if they were to have to rent that from another entity? We can look at those numbers, dial those down to just the bare bones costs. So then we have a better idea as to what the total in-kind cost is compared to the $1,000 order. Then they can also reach out and find out if there's other locations, and then bring all that information back. This event isn't until April. So we've got that time. We've got another meeting next week.
2 weeks.
Or 2 weeks. Yeah. So it's not a long delay, but then we can address a lot of these questions and concerns.
Okay.
It's just a suggestion.
Mr. Vice Mayor, you did.
Mr. Mayor, so,
Would you
yeah.
remove your motion and?
I move that we table this item and bring it back in a future date to discuss the whole item in detail.
Second.
Okay, that's it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is tabled. Thank you. Next item, number 2, discussion possible action, in-kind support for February 12, 2026 walk for the heart health event by Consulado General of Mexico in Nogales. The motion?
I just have one thing that I want to let you know. They're asking for nothing but a policeman. Originally, when they told me they were going to do that, it's going to be through the walkway. Yeah. So I told them it was better to have a policeman just for security. Okay, they were going to go just walk. So they're only asking for a policeman, and that's all they're asking.
Mayor, may I?
Go ahead.
I just want to bring this up because earlier my comment goes back to we do some and we don't do some, right? So it takes, here it goes again, to public funds. Maybe this police officer's on duty. I don't know. I have no idea how they work their schedule. But this is going back to, that's why we have to have a study session and we have to talk about these public funds. So the in-kind, it says 0 here from the Consulado de Mexico. However, I would like to know later on in the future or now is that, are you, as a city manager, because he runs the city, going to get a police officer out of his normal duties to walk with them? You see, that's a question that I have, because if if that's the case, right? If that's the case, then it is in kind because or overtime or whatever have you. But zero is not really zero because I don't have a clear explanation about, is that officer going to be on duty and so if that's the case, then it is zero.
To answer your question on this, we do welfare drive-by kind of patrol.
Okay, there you go. So it's zero.
Nobody will be assigned to it. We'll just let the patrols know that they'll be walking on the sidewalks. Just kind of be a little more adamant about when they drive by, that kind of, without taking them out of the total routine.
And that's so there's no in kind.
Right.
Part of their duty.
Right, that's why I put that on there with knowing that after talking to the chief last year about this. He just said, he explained, I said, great. It's not going out of the routines, just being a little more cognizant
vigilant
of that situation.
Okay, thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Chief Jimenez, how do you handle the funerals? Do you get somebody that's on duty to escort the funerals?
Question.
Does it?
Mayor, if I may?
Go ahead.
That's a great question, Council.
Go ahead, sir.
It's very similar to basically what's being discussed right now as an in-kind service, because as discussed in the things that we've done in the past, the funeral homes do reach out to us and say, can you please have officers assist us with this funeral escort? And we do use on-duty personnel. At times we can't, since we have other priorities happening, and they do manage to get their escort to the church that they're going to. But it is, in my opinion, hindering them right at the threshold of being in kind or not in kind. But if you ask me, it is an in kind service. And in the past, if some of you have been here some time, that service was removed. And we did catch basically a lot of backlash for that. So I agree it's something that needs to be looked at and discussed, how it's been brought up here by other councilmen.
Have you checked with the mortuary? Are they charging the customers for that escort and then not paying the city for it?
I've heard two versions of that they do include that in their services for the people that request those type of them. If they pay or not, I'm not sure, but they do not, turn around and pay the city for those services when we provide the escorts.
Maybe we need to look into that.
Homework, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, did I get a motion on this? Yes. And a second? Okay. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes, Miguel. Did you get, Miguel, who?
Yes.
Okay. Number 3, discussion and direction regarding consideration of a permanent base limit adjustment or 4-year alternative expenditure limitation home rule for the November 3rd, 2026 general election ballot. Any comments?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You didn't choose one. So I need to explain what this is for, because you have to choose. You have to choose between either. No, don't open that door.
He's the one that has to listen to both.
You have to choose either between the home rule adjustment or permanent base adjustment. Those are two different things, and I'll go into a little bit of detail as to what those are. So the state of Arizona imposes an expenditure limitation on all municipalities throughout the state, including Nogales. That expenditure limitation is based on a formula that was adopted by the state legislature in 1979. And that formula determines the amount of money that a municipality can use to fund its budget, its maximum budget expenditure limit, regardless of how much money the city may have. So under that limitation, you could have $100 million, but you may be limited to spending only $50 million. So it's not based off of how much money you have, it's based off of that legislative calculation from 1979. Now, and that limitation based on expenditures is known as the base limit. This is your base limit of expenditures. And of course, that amount that was established in 1979 is multiplied by inflation, by an inflation amount, and by population increases and stuff. So it's not a stagnant number, it changes every year. And the State Economic Estimates Commission adjusts and figures out what the inflation and population figures are for the municipalities. So while the 1979 formula accounts for growth, it tends to, almost in every case, fall short of how much a municipality actually has grown and how much it costs to operate those services. So, for example, the city of Nogales, the current state-imposed expenditure limitation for the city of Nogales is approximately $54,643,272 for fiscal year 26-27. That's an estimate. Whereas the estimated expenditures that the city would see for that same fiscal year would be almost 61 million. And so you would have a shortfall between what you need to spend and what you're authorized to spend. So what just about almost every municipality in the state of Arizona does one of two things. They either adopt a home rule adjustment or a permanent base adjustment. And that's the two ways that you can adjust that statutory expenditure limitation. So the home rule adjustment is done every 4 years. So every 4 years you have to have an election, and both of these have to be approved by the voters. Every 4 years you'd have to do an election, and as part of that election you have to say, our current expenditure limitation is 54 million. The city wants to have a home rule adjustment to allow the city to expend 65 million a year. Now, you still can't spend more than what you bring in. You still have to operate in the black, but that just allows you to have those expenditures for what you need. Whereas a permanent base adjustment is what it sounds like. You permanently adjust that statutory formula to a different amount. So, for example, and you don't have to do that every 4 years. So, for example, if you want to go forward with a permanent base adjustment, you'd say, okay, our projection for expenditures is going to be 65 million this year, account for inflation, account for changes and growth or different things. So we think over the next 10 years, because you want to look out a good amount in the future, the annual budget expenditures for the city are going to be 70 million. But the limit on the state statute calculation is 60 million at that point. So you would say, okay, we're going to go to the voters and we're going to ask for a $10 million or a $15 million adjustment to that state figure. So the main difference is both of those have to go to the voters. Both of them have to ask for, this is what we need to operate and get approval. The main difference is one is done every 4 years and one is essentially called a permanent base adjustment. But that's not to say you can't change the permanent base adjustment in the future. There are municipalities that have adopted the permanent base adjustment. And then, for example, Gilbert had massive growth over, in mid to late 2000s and currently. So if they did a permanent base adjustment based off of figures, and then those figures turn out to be, we've grown exponentially, we need to go back and adjust it. So the permanent base adjustment can be adjusted in the future. It's just not done every 4 years. So the home rule gives you a little bit of flexibility to you're only forecasting out 4 years. The downside to that is it's very temporary. It's only 4 years. So every 4 years you have to do an election on that. And that costs money to an administrative time and stuff to do those elections every 4 years. So those are the key differences between whether you look at going and doing a home rule adjustment or a permanent base adjustment. Either way, this year, you have to have one of those on the ballot for the general election. And so that's what's being brought to you today. We need direction on what to bring you for that call of election. We'll bring back a resolution for the call of election, and we'll provide all the details for what that amount is going to be and stuff. Right now, we just need to know, does council want to move forward with doing a home rule, which is what has been done in the past every 4 years? Or do you want to present to the voters doing a permanent base adjustment, and so you don't have to have this issue coming up every 4 years?
Vice Mayor?
Mr. Estes, this is not an action item right now, but we can go by your recommendation, whatever you recommend to the council. That way, you know, because we might not be too familiar with all the logistics of this rule. So right now, on this item, we just discussion and direction.
Yes, and direction is essentially the action that we're asking for. We need direction on what to bring back to you for the call of election. We need to know what council wants to present to the voters. There are some municipalities that want the home rule. They want it every 4 years, because they want to have that flexibility. They want the voters to make that decision. Again, the fact is the city can't operate in excess of what it brings in. So you're not operating in the red, but you have to have that adjustment. Otherwise, for example, if you don't have that adjustment for next year, your maximum expenditure limitation is going to be about $54 million, whereas your anticipated cost, your budget for next year is going to be $62 million. And so then you're going to have to figure out where you're going to cut 8 million out of your budget, because even though you have the money, you can't spend it. City of Maricopa had that issue when I was first on the council, because after the city incorporated, it just exploded. So the budget and the state limitation on that budget, we were tasked with either you're going to violate state law and expend more than what your limitation is, or you're going to have to cut millions of dollars in services to the community. And at that point, we as a council made a decision. We got fined by the state legislature, even though they understood that this wasn't something of our making. It was caused by the extreme hypergrowth and the need for all these new services that couldn't have been anticipated. When you go from a population of 3,000 to a population of 10,000 in less than 2 years, it was a massive growth increase. The city still got fined over $300,000 for violating state law. And so that's the downside, is if you do not either do your adjustment and you expend more than your limitation amount, you will be fined by the state. So, in the past, again, Nogales has done the home rule every 4 years. If you want to do that, we can bring that back for you. If you want to consider doing a permanent base adjustment, and then you typically would only have to look at that every 10 years or so. Nogales doesn't have hyper growth. I think as Councilmember Doyle mentioned earlier, it's kind of shrunk just a little bit. So you stay pretty consistent, which is a good thing when it comes to looking at a permanent base adjustment, because you can project out those numbers for 10 years. You can look back 10 years, you can look forward 10 years, and you can use that calculation and say, okay, we're going to recommend a permanent base adjustment. You know, the benefit of that is that it saves costs. You don't have to do the election every 4 years. It gives you long-term stability. You know what your budget amounts are going to be. So there's pros and cons to both. And again, it's a council decision. So if you want, we can, you know, this, because it's something new for you to consider, we can bring back a home rule call of election, and then we can, during the next 4-year cycle, we can do more education, more public input and stuff, and then potentially do a permanent base adjustment the next time this comes up. Because we know the mayor will be here, Councilman Doyle will be here.
Well, we don't know.
You know more than I do.
Ms. Montiel?
Yeah, I looked into both of them, and I noticed that municipalities are moving towards the permanent base adjustment. And it's obvious because there's predictability, and you kind of have something to work with. The home base for me, it's like every 4 years. And sometimes you have to also, I know we can't be involved politically with it, but, you know, we got to get people out there to inform the public about the home rule. I know home rule, but I noticed last time that it was approved, we had the firemen and certain people going out there and advocating for it and pushing for it. So I know there's some advantages and disadvantages in each one. I lean towards more because, we talk about income, we're talking about buying a new program and stuff like that. I mean, our population is shrinking. So that means that, we have, it seems like there's going to be less revenue coming in. We don't know the state of the countries where we're at right now. And the fact is that permanent base adjustment, for me at least, it gives me that, we can predict, it's very long now, we can predict at least a little bit to a certain degree. Because we can't just be, earlier we talked about in kind, we can't just start giving out all this money and not knowing where we're going. So with that in mind, I just lean towards more the permanent base. I'm not an expert in it, but I did look into like some of the municipalities are moving towards that. I went to the League of Cities and Towns and did a little bit of research there about that. But that's my opinion, and it's just an opinion. I'm sure everyone has one. So
most of the municipalities that are looking at the issue are going with the permanent base adjustment.
Yeah.
I can give a more recent example of budgetary issues is Quartzsite.
Quartzsite, yes. Saw that.
Quartzsite had an issue because when the 2020 census was done, they got undercounted significantly. So they lost off of the census count. The census count shows that they lost 1,400 residents. Whereas they knew they didn't because they still had the same number of utility account holders and all kinds of stuff. But they're a much older community. During COVID, older community, the members weren't answering the door. They weren't responding to the census numbers and stuff. So they got significantly undercounted. That impacted their budget limitation. They lost over $1 million a year in budget authority because of that. They had the money, but they couldn't spend it. Yeah. So they had to make major cutbacks. They had to go and do a voter request for a temporary budget override for 1 year, and then at the earliest available election, which I believe was the 20. I think they did. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but they went and did a permanent base adjustment so that they wouldn't have that issue or concern because that's one of the concerns is that if you have a significant change or something that happens because of census, and we looked into it, trying to appeal an undercount of a census count is impossible. You just, and it wasn't just Quartzsite. There were other rural, small municipalities like Somerton, and a number of communities were significantly undercounted because of COVID and people not responding, that they lost their budget limitation got cut because their numbers were down. They still had the same number of people, they still had the same expenses, but they couldn't spend the money that they already had. So it's like I've got $100,000 in the bank and I got a bill coming up for, $90,000, but my wife says I can only spend 70, and, so my recommendation would be to do the permanent base adjustment if council's good with that. Do a good education process between now and the general election to let the voters understand. This isn't saying that the city is going to spend that much money or the city's not going to spend more than what it brings in, because you could have a situation where even with the permanent base adjustment, 5 years down the road, you only have expenditures of 50 million for some reason because you made cutbacks because Workday saved you a lot of money. So even though your expenditure limitation is 65, you don't have to spend up to 65. You could still spend 50. It just gives you that authority so you're not constrained by the statutory limitation that was put back in 1979. And again, I think there's only 2 or less than 5 municipalities in the entire state that do not do some type of adjustment, whether it's home rule or permanent base. And the majority of those that have been home rule are transitioning more to permanent base.
Just one more comment.
Go ahead.
So that the public doesn't feel like we're not giving them a say, and because, they do vote for or not vote for home rule. But it's just also what I think is important is that there is some forecasting in the part of this of the finance department, the city manager, and us, right? Because we set the policies and so forth. But I think there's more of that. We can forecast a little bit of what we can spend and not spend. So I don't know. That's just my opinion. I don't know how the rest feel, but I know I looked into it a couple hours before this agenda item was placed here. Because I talked to Mr. Kramer about the home rule or USDs. I knew that was coming. So if we decide on the permanent base adjustment, it doesn't have to be, of course, on the upcoming election. So that we wouldn't have to have, of course, we wouldn't have to have that.
Yes, whether you do home rule or permanent base adjustment, the question will be on the general ballot for November.
Okay.
It's not going to be on the primary because we're already past the time for doing the notifications and stuff. You're going to have one of your other following agenda items is the call of election for the primary. But we would bring back the call of election for the general, and we've got plenty of time to get that information out, provide all the the education and things for the community, regardless of whether it's home rule or permanent base. The adjustment amount's going to be the same, but it's the time period. One only allows you to have that adjustment in place for 4 years. The other one is a longer period.
Mr. Duff?
Well, I think basically we should just follow the recommendation for the time being, unless we have time to discuss it, and in the future, I don't know if we're all right now on the same page or not, but we can always make that adjustment, I guess.
Yeah, I think he gave you a couple suggestions, and certainly I would have, and we talked with finance, and thank you, Jackie, for providing that in Sid Hill. You probably want to look at least doing the home rule, at least you give it 4 years, but if the permanent is certainly what Mr. Hess has said, is the direction the city should take. Well, leaving you with that discussion, but Mr. Doyle and all of you, you know the home rule has been in place for years. And certainly it's important to continue doing that. But setting that, you know, you don't want to set it too low, nor do you want to set it too high either because of things like that. And we can certainly discuss that. But it's important that we do at least the home rule for the 4 years. And if we need to revisit it to bring it back for permanent, certainly. You know, as they said, the hybrid type thing, looking at doing it, but doing now, we need the home rule, definitely. Otherwise, I believe we'd be 14 million short.
Really?
Yes.
And that's not that you don't have $14 million, that you just can't spend.
The expenditure limit, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't precisely say that. We'll be short on the expenditure limit. Right, based on that 1979-80.
Yes, calculation.
Yes, so.
So if there's concern that because this isn't something new, this is, you know, and sometimes voters can look, oh, this is new, we've never done this. If you want, you know, I think a good idea would be, you know, move forward this year with the home rule and start that education process now so that we can then bring back a permanent base adjustment in the future.
Informing the public.
Right. And we may be able, I'll have to look, I'll double check with my partner, Christina, she's the election expert. We may be able to do the home rule this year and then in 2 years present a permanent base adjustment so that we're not doing it at the last minute and that if for some reason the permanent base adjustment fails, you still have the home rule in place and you have another 2 years to make that presentation.
I think you're correct.
Yeah.
I think we could do that in 2 years.
So that would be my recommendation, would be to move forward now with a home rule for the general election and then look at bringing a permanent base adjustment question in 2 years.
So that's going to follow up with a resolution.
Yeah, we still have to come back. This is just direction. So this isn't, you don't have to take a vote, but I'm not hearing any objection to that suggestion.
Is that good? You know, direction to look into the home rule and follow up with in 2 years.
All right.
So we could bring that back for
Sounds good.
our next meeting in February.
Thank you.
May not be either February or March. I've got to get with Christina on when the deadline is for that. May. So.
All right, so March.
In May is the deadline? Correct. Thank you, sir. Okay. So next we go to 5, ordinance number 1, consideration possible action of ordinance number 02026-01-002, an ordinance of the city of Nogales, Arizona declaring certain city-owned right-of-ways surplus for city use and authorizing the abandonment of a portion of Oak Street to the adjacent property owner pursuant to ARS 20-7205, authorizing the taking of all other action necessary for the consummation of the transaction contemplated by this ordinance. Contemplated. Can you give us an explanation on this one, so everybody?
I'm talking way too much this meeting.
Yeah.
I have 5 hours is what I was told. This is a very standard, simple process. The city has a lot of platted streets that were originally platted, anticipated to be built, but never were. Oak Street is one of those. For example, on the map, you can see, I tried to highlight where it dead ends and then lines where it would have gone through had it been built out. And what has happened is there's encroachments in where that right of way was dedicated but never used, and where houses and yards and things have been built. This property is a property that was owned, the owner passed away, it's in probate. They're trying to clear probate, but they have to address this issue of the fact that a portion of the house is built on and sits on this right-of-way. Even though the right-of-way was never built out and it can't be built out, there's no way that you're going to put a road in here. But we need to clear it up so that they can close out probate and transfer the property and stuff. So the attorney handling the probate went out, they hired a surveyor to be able to do the best job they could with meets and bounds. This is an unusual situation because there aren't any markers out there. There was no prior, delineation of 10 feet to the west by 20 feet to the east kind of thing. So they've provided a legal description that details out sufficiently and for legal purposes this portion of the Oak Street right-of-way that needs to be abandoned to this property to clear up the title issue, because they can't finalize probate when they have a portion of the house is sitting on a portion of city-owned right-of-way. So we just got to clear that up. This isn't clearing up every issue on Oak Street. There's still other properties that have encroachments, but those will be addressed when they need to come up. It's not like the city's going out there and saying, you got to move this corner of your house because you're on our street, and that street's never going to get built out. So this is basically an administrative process. State statute contemplates this. It happens a lot in a lot of municipalities, especially older ones, where, when they initially designed a neighborhood, they thought, oh, we're going to put a street here. No, it's not going to work. It looks good on a map. Doesn't look good when you go out and you see the side of a hill and, the inability to do it.
My only question on this one, Mr. S, is thank you for doing the map, because before, when it was all in writing, I really didn't understand it. But the highlighted area that you put, is that what's going to be donated?
That's the estimated area. That's the highlighted all yellow portion is what we're talking about. And that's not an accurate representation of the size of it. It's just to show you where that street would have gone through, and a portion of that right-of-way is being abandoned back to the property owner so that that portion of the house that is built on it in the yard is part of their property.
So it's not just the corner where the property is.
Like I said, that's just a representation of what we're talking about. That's not an accurate, foot by foot.
Is that yellow part of the city property then?
Yes, that's part of the roadway.
And they want to give it away? You want to give it away?
What do you mean, give it away?
Just a small.
Well, how big is it? In dimensions, how big is it? I mean, we can't tell here yet.
I want to say it's my understanding is like a 15-foot by 70-foot section. It's just to clear up the area, and it's not a right-of-way that the city purchased. It was dedicated as a roadway when that neighborhood was initially platted.
So the state, and it borders that home.
Yes.
Well, that's a big chunk of property.
Well, that home was built in 1944.
Yeah. So they should be willing to pay some money for that.
No. The statute doesn't provide for payment of money. You don't need the right-of-way, so it goes back to the property that's adjacent to it. It's not like a piece of property that you own over here and you're going to sell it. That has no value.
So
it is
some value, but
no, it doesn't.
What do you mean it doesn't?
Have
you ever gone in there, driven in there?
Councilmember Doyle, the house is already built on that property. Are you going to go tell that property owner that they have to demolish that house?
No, I'm not saying.
Okay, so there is no value to it. Nobody else could buy it. It has no value other than to clear up the title issue.
Yeah.
And that's what the state statute provides for, is to abandon it to the adjacent property owner.
So that's strictly just abandonment?
Yes. Yes, you're saying this has no use as a city street. There's no way you could put a city street in there. And because it's technically on the maps as a platted street, you have to do a technical abandonment. It was never there. It's never going to be there. It's basically it's a ghost street, and this is just clearing up documentation on paper.
So,
Including the house next door, Mr.
You're
Doyle.
saying Gulf Street, it doesn't run all the way to the property?
Yes, it's a ghost street because it's on paper, but it's never going to be in reality.
And the house next door to it, because I did meet with Mr. Drager about this, right, and then I passed it on when our esteemed colleague here came on board. The house next door to it also has a portion of their home, but they haven't come to us yet, on city property.
Yeah.
So that ghost street that was supposed to go like this, probably plotted in 1912, who knows, maybe 1920. They started building on it and just let them build. The wall back there is our retention wall that the city of Nogales put. So that hill, we're not going to do anything with that hill. That wall is ours. And the property owners obviously built in 1944 during the golden years of World War II. Nevertheless,
the city spent some money putting a retaining wall.
Right. Well, again, because it was flooding in that area from our property down, much like what we're looking at the other. But nevertheless, that other house next to it is also sitting on, as Mr. Estes said, that ghost street. They haven't come to us yet because that's what I talked to Mr. Drager. He was going to go back and look, but apparently he was just focusing on the person that hired him, this homeowner. The parents built that home. The mother passed away. They built it in 1944. I guess so. That's that. It does no value, as Mr. Estes said. It does no value to us as a city, other than we're being good stewards to people that built their homes that time period, and now they have it.
So my question is, what legal responsibility the city has or repercussion if we don't release that to them? If we don't abandon it?
If you don't do it,
right,
then they can't close probate, and that property sits in limbo, and it can't be sold, and it can't be used.
So they'd be willing to pay something for that. I mean, the house, it's worth the house. The people that are going to, have the interest in the house, in other words, because now you said there's another house and there's probably another house.
I think they were a Gold Star family too when they were building the home. They were good World War II people that were part of this community.
Do we know that?
What's that? I think that's what Mr. Drager was saying, something to that matter. It was during World War II.
Mr. Drager, the attorney?
Greg.
Right.
Drager.
We were talking about World War II when it was built. So again, I don't want to get into their family personal, but that's not the point. It's just,
well, still okay. I just don't like to be giving stuff away, but anyway, it's good that you
Call it
mentioned
an in-kind contribution.
It's good that you mentioned that they've been in the community since World War II. In other words, they're a veteran family. I mean, that's important to know those things.
Yeah, it is. They're veteran family.
I move to approve the resolution.
the whole community at that time.
They're out of order.
Most of it.
Nogales was the greatest
Yes, it was,
city in
per capita.
the state supporting World War II.
Right.
So everyone was involved in World War II somehow.
Yes, okay.
I mean, it's the greatest generation.
Everybody will squeeze that out or you don't bring it out.
No, I just want to mention, we've done this many, many times for many, many years. The same thing. So it's nothing new. I'm sorry.
Still, this is the type of giving away property, just give it away.
Don't vote on it.
Can they move?
Don't vote on it. Resolution.
No, I'm talking about other property. Which you voted against it.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
call for the question, vote on this item.
If we could do a roll call vote because it's an ordinance.
Okay, yes, sir. Being that it's an ordinance, do a roll call. Go ahead, Mr. Bonillas.
Aye.
Mr. Doe.
Aye.
Dennis.
Aye.
Montiel.
Aye.
Parada.
Aye.
Vice Mayor.
Aye.
And I on myself. Thank you.
Thank you. And just for the record, because it was a unanimous vote, we don't have to bring it back for second reading, so it's been approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustees.
The family thanks you, I'm sure.
Thank you. Thank them for their service, actually.
Okay, we go down to resolution number 6, consideration possible action of resolution number R 2026-01-001, a resolution of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, ordering and calling for a 2026 primary and general elections, designating the election dates and purpose of elections, setting forth the candidates' filing period, establishing the code of elections, including ballots, tabulations, requirements, and payments of election expenditures, setting forth the voters' registration deadlines and early voting dates, designating voters' rights acts requirements, designating the election format, providing for publication of election notices, and providing for the canvassing of election results. Right. Any comments? And I know this, okay, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Number 2, consideration possible action of resolution number R 2026-01-002, a resolution of the Council of the City of Nogales, Santa Cruz County, Arizona, prescribing standards for financial disclosure for local elected officials.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Number 3, consideration and possible action of resolution number R 2026-01-003, a resolution of the City of Nogales, Arizona, Santa Cruz County, designating the Chief Fiscal Officer to officially submit a fiscal year 2026 expenditure limitations report to the Arizona Auditors General. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Number 7, orders. Number 1, consideration and possible action of orders number 2026-01-004, an order of the Mayor and City Council of Nogales, Arizona, authorizing the acceptance of a highway safety grant agreement from the Arizona Governor's Office of Highway in the amount of $30,523 and authorizing the city manager to execute all necessary documents. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Number 2, consideration and possible action of order number 2026-01-005, an order of the City Council of Nogales, Arizona, amending the order number 2025-12043 relating to the North 32 subdivision final plat to revise the secondary access requirement. Any discussion? I want to just give us a clarification because we've gone through this and just, what we
This is the third time this plat has come before the council. There is some inaccurate information that was provided to council at the last meeting where you recall you initially required the secondary access because of the fire code issues. Then it came back and that was removed because it was mentioned in the staff report that that you didn't have to have it under the fire code. That wasn't accurate. What we did is went back, I had a conversation with the developer. They already have a 15-foot easement. All that has to do is be improved to be an access. It can be gated and it doesn't have to be increased to 20 feet because it's just a single use one-way access point. So it can still stay 15 feet. They're not losing any property. And they agreed to that. And so we're just basically adding that secondary access requirement back to the plat.
Go ahead, Mr. Doe.
Just to be on the safe side, we're talking about this access is more of an emergency type.
Yes, this is not this will be a gated access. It's only accessible by emergency personnel. It's not a in and out access on a regular basis. That's correct.
Sorry about that. Even the battery's gone. All right, with that said, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Number 3, consideration and possible action on order number 2026-01-006, an order of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, accepting a grant from the Arizona Department of Public Safety through local border support funds for a Nogales Police Department mobile command center incident command response vehicle drone program in the amount of $997,389 with 47 cents.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Number 4, consideration and possible action of order number 2026-01-007, an order of the mayor and city council of Nogales, Arizona, authorizing the city manager to execute a service agreement with Iron Brick Associates LLC as an authorized third-party reseller for a 10-year Workday Inc. software subscription in a total amount not to exceed $3,360,608 with 49 cents.
Second.
Any discussion? Go ahead, Mr. Doe.
Well, is it going to last an hour or more? I have nothing to say.
Need a presentation?
I'm just asking.
You good?
Presentation on that?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. You got 34 weeks? 36 weeks?
Everything will come out.
On the clock. As of 1:38. Okay, motion passes. I move to adjourn this meeting. All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.